Let's call our meeting to order. We're going to start with a prayer by the Honorable Patrick Burke and then a pledge led by the Honorable Rick Smith.
Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day. God, we thank you for the opportunity to serve you and to serve the citizens of this parish. Lord God, we just ask right now that you give us wisdom and discernment, Lord, and lead and guide all our decisions today. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Please join me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Corbin, may I get a motion to reconvene the Board of Review from September 4th?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Corbin, second by Ms. Kazenbaum. Please vote. We're going to voice vote or light vote?
Voice vote.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Kazenbaum? Yes. Mr. Corbin?
Yes.
Mr. Burke?
Yes.
Mr. Bender?
Yes.
Okay, the meeting is reconvened. Mary, we're going to do a roll.
No,
Just introduce the council members? Okay, well, first up, we have Mr. Rick Smith. Second, Ms. Martha Kazenbaum. Third, Mr. Jeff Corbin, Mr. Pat Burke, and Mr. Jerry Bender, along with our legal counsel, Emily Couvillon, and the council administrator, Mary Burkell. We also have several members from the assessor's office here, and we'll now proceed with a PowerPoint by Mary to explain the process. Or Troy, you have something to read first, I believe? Please proceed.
Chairman, members of the council, I just have a short statement to read. My name is Troy Dugas. I'm the Chief Deputy. I have a short statement to read on behalf of the assessor who could not be here today. I am sorry that I could not be here today. I am out of town at a national conference. As I like to remind everyone at the beginning of these hearings, the assessor's office has over 144,000 assessments, and we have a handful before you. My staff works hard to address the appeals that come in during the open roll period. If we can reduce an assessment, we do. Not all can be reduced. We all agree that the taxes are too high, but that is not a factor we can use to reduce an assessment. As I like to say, we need something to hang our hat on, just as you do when determining whether to reduce someone's assessment. Just as a property owner has the right to appeal, so does the assessor's office. If a change to an assessment could have a detrimental effect on other similar properties. This is not a reassessment year, so any increase to an assessment is because of a correction being made. I truly appreciate you being here and do understand how difficult it is to say no to a constituent. Thank you, Louis Fitzmaurice. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mary, would you like to begin the PowerPoint presentation?
Yes, sir. Okay, before we begin, I have a couple of announcements. If you're here as an appellant and you haven't signed in yet, please see Ashley Gonzalez up here just to make sure we know you're here so we'll be able to hear your case. And I do want to remind you that due to changes at the state level, that all of these are going to be recorded and streamed. So this is on our Access St. Tammany channel, and they will be put up on our on-demand service, just to make sure everyone's aware of that. Last year, I thought it was important to make sure, and us to take our time, that everyone understands what we're doing, what you're agreeing to, and then what the next steps are if you choose to do that. So I'm just going to give a little brief overview of how we're here and then what those next steps are. So who is the Board of Review? So when you talk about property assessments and how much a property is worth, that is the role of the assessor's office. If someone disagrees with the role of the assessor's office, according to state law, it's the governing authority, which here in St. Tammany is our council. So that's why you see our council members here. Today, these council members will make those recommendations and make those decisions, and then tomorrow we'll have a special meeting where they're ratified by the entire council. So what does the Board of Review do? Basically, it's to hear both sides, to be a mediator, to listen to the appellant and the reasons why they think their assessment may be high, and then listen to the assessor's office to understand how they got to that number, and then make a decision from there. So we have to remember that when we're talking about assessments, we're talking about fair market value. So it is the price for the property which we agreed upon between a willing and informed buyer and a willing and informed seller under usual and ordinary circumstances. So unfortunately, just like Assessor Fitzmaurice letter says, it's not based on how much we can pay in taxes or what we're able to do. It's based on that fair market value. So that's why we kind of have this back and forth to agree, or hopefully agree upon, what that number is. So today, this is what's going to happen. Each appellant is going to have an opportunity to come to the mic. You'll be given, it's actually 5 minutes, to explain your case. After you explain your case, the assessor's office will also have 5 minutes, up to explain how they got to that number. The appellant will be given 2 minutes to rebuttal. If there's something that they disagree with or they have more information on that particular point, they'll be able to be given opportunity to say it. And then finally, if the assessor office has anything left or wants to make any kind of offer, or they're going to stand where they are, will stay there. At that point, a couple things can happen. If the appellant and the assessor's office agree on a certain number, this can be withdrawn. So your appeal here can be withdrawn. But if you do that, then you cannot go and appeal at the state. And that's what I want to make sure everyone's clear with. So if you're an appellant and if you have a question, please stop us. We want to make sure before you leave, you fully understand what took place here at this hearing today. So what happens after this? So whatever this board decides, either if they decide to lower it or to stand firm with what the assessor office did, tomorrow at a special meeting, the council will actually ratify it, and then you will have 30 days to appeal it. If you still don't agree with that, whatever comes out of today, you have 30 days to appeal it to the state, to go to the tax commissioner. We always like to make sure people understand when you go to the tax commissioner, it'll be you and the assessor office again, kind of doing a similar thing. And at the tax commissioner, they can raise your value, they can keep it the same, or they can lower it. They do all of those 3 options. So we just want to make sure that's clear. We don't want you getting to the state and not realizing they actually could raise the value of your house if that's the determination that they make. So it's a whole big long process when you go to the tax commission. If you choose to do that, you will have to take the certified mail you'll get in the mail from us, and then actually do that application within 30 days. Okay? And that is it.
And that is it. So our first appellant is Michelle T. Robinson.
I think Jerry Bender has a question.
Oh, I'm so sorry, Mr. Bender. 1 second.
I have a brief question for Troy.
Okay.
Troy, I want to make sure I understand this. So when you were speaking, correct me if I'm wrong, you said this is not a reassessment year. But so this is being done because of mistakes.
If we increased the value, it was because of a mistake or something we moved because we found something in either our GIS, our mapping, or our data, or something along the line. But generally, we don't change values in non-reassessment years. But sometimes we find errors of things that we were off on. Some of these commercial things were actually moves. I don't think the 2 residentials were anything that moved the value. They just carried on into the next year. And that generally happens a lot in reassessment. Some things don't get appealed or in the reassessment year, but in the second year they do. So that both residential, I think, are hangovers. I think some of the commercials are hangovers. Some of the commercials may have been things that we found and got to this year.
Okay, so when we get to the commercials, okay, are you going to let us know which ones are hangovers and which ones have...
Well, we can have, JB can tell you if we change our value and why.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Is that all? Okay.
Troy, one more thing. I said in my PowerPoint they have 30 days to appeal to the tax commissioner. Is that correct? Is it 30?
It used to be 10. They changed the law.
Okay. Just wanted to make sure what I said was correct.
Yeah, you're right. It used to be. I asked that too, but they did. It came up last year. We double checked it, and they said it was 30 days. They made that adjustment because of the timing and the certified U.S. mail to make sure everybody had sufficient time to get that appeal into the tax commission if that's what they wanted to do.
Perfect. Just want to make sure I didn't say anything
No, you
incorrect.
said it right. That was an excellent explanation of how the process works.
Oh, thank you.
I agree. Great job, Mayor. Okay, so first up is Ms. Michelle T. Robinson. Ms. Robinson, so you have 5 minutes, then the assessor's going to have 5 minutes, and each of you will have 3 minutes to rebut. And also remember, there may be questions from the council that you can ask that will go outside of your 5
I
minutes.
am Michelle Robinson. I'm at 155 Brookside Drive, Mandeville, Louisiana, 70471. I want to, first of all, I want to thank all of you, the council, for this year. This is my 2.0 to coming in front of the court for the Board of Review. It's much improved from last year. Number one, you have more panels. The actual councilmen are actually identified of who to speak to, and because the way it was handled last year was not appropriate, and it was because after my meeting was here, I stepped away. I didn't agree or disagree. I never received a letter saying exactly what the outcome was, and I was not afforded the right to go to the state in order to do that. So I'm here to do today to do a review of and contest my land value of my piece of property. They assessed my property 4 years ago. Last year they did the 4-year assessment. They took 87 of our neighborhood properties and they just put a mass assessment on it, and they originally did $125,000 for all of the lots, no matter what shape, form, whatever usage, whatever, mass appraiser. Then, because we had such a mass group in our neighborhood that complained about it, they dropped it to $100,000. Well, I happen to live on the highest part of the property in that thing, but 40% of my property is wetlands and watershed, and the Bayou Chinchuba comes through it. So I came here asking that my land value be reduced from $100,000 back to either where I purchased it at in 2018 at $52,500, and leave it there. Now, he's going to explain a little bit more on my behalf of how to fix this.
My name is Brad Robinson. I'm her brother. I have a master's in urban planning from the University of New Orleans, as well as an engineering degree from West Point. And I'm a retired military officer. I also worked for the Corps of Engineers when I was recuperating from wounds. I have 4 Purple Hearts. But with that said, I kind of know what's going on. I'm also a builder and a developer in New Orleans. I reside in New Orleans. I'm not quite familiar with St. Tammany Parish, but I am familiar with adjustments. I talked to the assessor here briefly, and they use a mass appraisal system, which is great. It was designed, when I was in school, I was taught it was designed for like Dallas, Houston, areas, large expanse areas that sprawl, urban sprawl, and it works great there in Texas. In Louisiana, it's not so great because not all the land is usable. The Corps of Engineers, 40% of her property, her land value, and that's an estimate, I haven't surveyed it yet, but I would estimate about 40% of her land value it would be deemed wetlands. I haven't gone to the Corps in New Orleans yet and pulled up. I'm sure that the developer, when they built that subdivision, they had to do that. They had to get an environmental 1 and environmental 2. So I'm sure it's on record. If I have to appeal to the state, I'll probably go ahead and pull all those records and bring those with her to the state. But I'm also a real estate broker, and I was a real estate broker. I gave up my license. I used to work with Tommy Crane. I don't know if any of y'all remember Tommy Crane, but the land value, she's not arguing about the assessed value on the structure. She's arguing about the land value based on usability. She could not get a permit. I can guarantee you this. If I had to apply for a permit to build a house or a structure on the back of her property, I couldn't do it. Number one, the Corps wouldn't give it to me, and number two, the parish, St. Tammany Parish, wouldn't give it to me. And I'll bet everything I own on that. So I just wanted to make sure y'all understand. It's a pie-shaped lot. It's very narrow in front, and it expands to the back, and the back runs along Chachuba. So I'd say at least 40%. maybe even more, but I haven't surveyed it yet, so I can't attest to that. If y'all have any questions, I'll be glad.
Before the assessor comes up with their 5 minutes,
To pass around the council.
did you have some pictures?
I did, and it's the same letter from last year, the same, I added a few more documents to that letter, yes.
And thank you very much for your service, sir.
Thank you very much, I appreciate that.
But I would agree that if you can't build a structure, or a guest house, or a pool, I would assume you can't do anything in that area. Okay.
Can't do anything in there.
Nothing. The land slope, I'd say the slope from the front of her property to the rear of the property is about 40% slope, which is very,
So what the assessor's office did, again, in the mass assessment, in 2004, they reassessed every property in that neighborhood, whether the owner owned a
Yes, ma'am.
single lot.
I don't mean to be rude. I promise you. I understand that point. Let's give the assessor their opportunity to speak, and then you still have 3 minutes left to rebut.
Thank
Okay?
you. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
You can either sit there or go to the.
While you're coming up, I'd also like to introduce Councilperson Maureen O'Brien. Thank you, sir.
Request to speak.
What are we waiting on?
Just waiting for. You ready?
Hey, my name is Brooke Keane. I'm a residential appraiser at the assessor's office.
Well, we have a microphone problem.
There's a little box that says mic to ask for the microphone. There you go.
I got it, Mayor. Okay, you should be ready.
Okay. My name is Brooke Keane. I'm a residential appraiser with the St. Tammany Parish Assessor's Office. The value on Ms. Robinson's property has not changed from what we agreed upon here last year to this year. Due to her property backing up to Bayou Chinchuba, I offered a $15,000 reduction to her and the neighbors that are affected by the bayou, but it was not accepted.
Okay. Is there anything else?
Yeah, it was an additional $15,000 off of the land value.
So just to make sure I understand, so it's currently at 100,000 property value. You offered to bring it down to 85.
Yes, sir.
It was declined,
Yes, sir.
and I guess they went to the state?
No, that was this year. That was the
That
offer
was this year?
Yes, sir.
Oh, okay. I understood.
There was a reduction
Okay.
last year. If you look at the packet, prior to the board last year, it was valued at $493. Let's see, $493,710. Once the reduction was done here last year, it's valued at $477,961. So I offered an additional $15,000 off of the land value
Okay.
for this year.
Y'all have anything else? Would you like to step up to the podium? You have 3 minutes now to rebut. And please state your name again, just for the record.
yes, it's Brad Robinson. I reside at 8629 Zimple Street, New Orleans. 15% reduction when 40% of her property is unusable is not acceptable. And I don't think it'll be that difficult if I go into the Corps and pull up the records. They use LiDAR radar. I think the LiDAR, just using LiDAR radar and getting a statement from the Corps will show 40 to 50% at least is unusable. She's willing to go to 60, which is basically the 100 land value they gave, and down to 60, which is 40% reduction.
Okay, sir.
Thank you.
Stay close in case there's any questions. Mr. Smith?
Based on what I'm hearing, I think the prudent thing to do here, it makes sense. The argument makes sense. 40% of the property is not usable according to the homeowner. It seems like it should be reduced 40% to me, but that's me.
That's logical. Yes, sir.
I would make a motion to approve the appeal and let the appellant take it to the states and let the professionals make this determination.
I would agree with that. I do have one question. I'll go to Ms. O'Brien. Is that portion of Bayou Chinchuba navigable, or is it just...
No. In fact, I actually recommended to my sister that she don't create a conservatory for the homes that are along the Chinchuba Bayou and donate it to the conservatory, which is a nonprofit, okay, or donate it to the parish, because right now there's fallen trees in it. It's blocked. There's no when it rains, the flooding, the parish will not talk to the parish drainage engineer. They can't work on it because it's not part of the parish. It hasn't been donated to the parish.
Okay. Ms. O'Brien?
Well, Mr. Smith beat me to the punch. This is in my council district, so I'm very aware of the problematic issues we have along Chinchuba. Numerous people have had major flooding. There is erosion where people have had fences, and the last post of fences are gone. People have had cars lost in flooding and all. It directly abuts, part of that subdivision directly abuts the city of Mandeville, and we have control of what's going on in part of that area, but not all of it. So given all of those facts, and as they said, 40%, I'm in agreement with the motion. So I would second that, what Mr. Smith recommended.
So we have a motion and a second to reduce it by $40,000, Mr. Smith? Was that your motion? 6,000. But 1 second, hold up. We have 2 more council members who'd like to speak, and then I promise we'll come back to you before we vote on the motion. I'll give you my word. Mr. Corbin and then Mr. Bender.
Yeah, I've got a couple questions. I think they're probably for the assessor's office. When you buy a lot, how do you value the usable land? There's something, I may be wrong. I guess I got an opinion, but let me ask you guys. When you look at this land, and some of it might be considered wetlands, they're estimating 40%. How do you guys look at that? And what was, like, maybe I guess the better question, I'm sorry I'm rambling, but what's the basis of the 15K? Is there a basis for that reduction?
1 minute. Let me answer that if I could. We don't have a particular formula. According to us, that's a lot of record. It's a buildable lot. The fact that you might not be able to use the back of it to build a second home, if you could get zoning approved to do that in the first place, to us as a buildable lot has a value. She spent 50-something thousand for it in 2018, I think, or 8. So
2018.
There's no. We do take into consideration. Somebody brings in some wetlands certificates. We look at maps. In this case, we decided, hey, let's make a 10% reduction, even though, she's got a buildable lot, house on it. But there's no formula that says 20% this one, and this one 25, and this one 28. Again, we do mass appraisals, but when this was brought to our attention, we did think we need to make a reduction, and we offered to do a reduction.
Okay, and in that process, what has land values in neighborhoods like this done over the last 9 years? Or I guess it's 2018 to 2025, 7 years.
We've had this values were based upon a sale or two that occurred in the time frame of that we use for reassessment.
Sure.
So that original 120 was based upon a 140 sale.
A 140 lot, a sale of a lot for 140?
Now that lot was not on the back of his body.
Sure.
Still had a sale of 140.
Wait, if you can, speak it to the microphone, just because everything's recorded, people can't hear it unless it's...
So the sale was for $140,000. That lot that sold was not on the bayou itself. So we did set values initially at $125 for the land. And then subsequently, after speaking with multiple members of the subdivision, we reduced it again to $100,000. So we're talking about $140,000 down to $100,000. So within that time, within that distance and with that change, we've got the actual value of the land that we know sold for within our target sales date by the state. And then we've made adjustments below that, taking into consideration any, along the bayou, any issues with the land along the bayou across the entire subdivision. So we've made that adjustment. And then subsequent to that, we offered another $15,000 off last year.
Okay.
And then when you add this $15,000 we just offered for this year, that's a $30,000 reduction we've offered over the last 2 years to get us into that frame. And the issue is that we don't know for sure. There's no comps to support what the gentleman's speaking about. But we don't know for sure that's 40%. There's no determination that's been given to us that shows it's 40%. So we understand she backs up to the bayou. What we've done is we've offered essentially $30,000 in reduction off of the total value of the property because of her backing up to the bayou.
So just to make sure I understand, still have 2 questions I'd like to follow up on. Do you have any data that shows what lot values have done generally in St. Tammany Parish over the last 8 years?
We have a sale within our target sales.
I understand that one sale, but I'm talking about that's not necessarily very comparable. Has lot land
In general, lot values, particularly in this side of parish, have gone up significantly.
So
25, 30%, along with the improvements.
Okay, this is almost 100% different
Well,
than what was paid in 2018. That's what I'm asking for.
Yeah, we didn't reassess this land in this subdivision in 2020.
Okay.
It really hadn't changed since 2016 because we never got around to the land portion of the reassessment.
Okay.
So this was a longer period than normal.
Okay. So secondly, and then just for clarification, because I've heard 15,000 used twice. So is the offer that the assessor's office has on the table today, right now, a valuation for the land of $70,000 or of $85,000?
Last year's reduction of 15,000, we took it off the value of the house. This year's we offered a reduction, taking it off the value of the land. In totality, is 30,000 total from where we started in 24.
Okay, so you didn't necessarily tie it to the land, but it's still essentially a $30,000 reduction, whether we tied it to the land or to the house. It's a $30,000 reduction in total that you have offered. Yes, ma'am.
Last year was a $15,000 reduction.
Okay.
And then this year would be another $15,000.
Okay.
Or what we offered, which would in total be 30.
Okay, thank you.
And I'll point out one more thing. At $85,000, the land value would be 60% of that sale that occurred in our specific time frame.
Right. Okay.
Okay, hold on. The whole board is lit up. I'm going to remind everybody of something. We have 18 of these. At this pace, we're on schedule to be here until Halloween. Mr. Bender.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Do they have a number of lots still available in the subdivision for sale?
That's what I was going to bring up. The land value that they reassessed the property from her when she originally built, those homes along the Chachuba Bayou were already built. The land that's sold that they're using as a comparable are lots that are across the street from her lot that are 100% buildable. So none of the lots along Chachuba, they're using land value by square footage to assess. They use that, the sales, the comparable sales across the street, which is 100% buildable lots.
I understand.
So and the other thing that they mentioned was the reduction. The reduction they did last year, the 15% reduction they did last year, was across the board, including the people across the street, because all the neighbors got together and they did a mass reduction on the property, on the structures, on the whole thing as a whole.
To prevent us from coming in front of the council.
Okay, that's a good point.
All right, thank you.
Yes, sir.
My question was to the assessor, though, but I appreciate the input.
Sorry, go ahead.
Now this is for the assessor.
Oh, okay.
Okay. You're using a land value of $140,000. Correct me if I'm wrong. It sounds like you're using a land value of $140,000 on one lot that was sold.
There was one sale for $140,000. That was our inside our target sales dates. We used that sale, we made adjustments due to the fact that it was one sale. It was, we made adjustments for not many lots left in the subdivision, and reduced it. It's only valued at 100,000.
Okay, my last question is, this is .97 acres. How many acres was the $140,000 sale?
Give me a second.
Sorry.
I was just told that there was another $140,000 sale that was just right outside of our target sales date.
Okay.
So we didn't count it, but we do have another one.
There was two on the other side that were sold around that time.
I understand.
But they were on the other side.
Ma'am, if this is going to take a lot of time to determine the size of the acreage of the lot across the street, then I'm just going to say, in other words, I was just trying to determine, is that lot 1.25 acres compared to 0.97? You got it?
0.66 acres.
0.66 acres.
With $140,000
Okay.
land.
All right.
Or, I'm sorry, 160. It was 160, 331 of 23. The sale.
The sale was 160? Okay.
Prior to our target.
Wait, this is for 2/3 of an acre? Okay. Look, I've heard enough myself. I'm going to go with Mr. Smith and Ms. O'Brien and agree on the $60,000. I mean, I think jumping from $52,000 when they bought it, which wasn't that long ago, to using $140,000, and then I realized you reduced it some, okay? But that's just my opinion. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Burke and then Mr. Smith, and we're going to wrap this up.
I got a question for the assessor. Did we do an appraisal on this?
Did we get an appraisal, was your question?
Yes.
No, we
Has
don't
there been
have
a
an
recent appraisal at all?
Not on this.
Because, I know, I was here last year too, and for the record, I'm a mortgage lender and a mortgage banker too, and I use the, my automated valuation tools. Of course, it doesn't take the place of an appraisal, of an actual appraisal, but like I believe I spoke on this last year as well, and I think you guys made an adjustment last year of what, 15? But you took it off the value of the house. So now we're addressing the land, right? And I think the point last year was also on the land, so you probably should have took it off the land versus the house, because when I look this address up right now and look at comparable sales, I'm coming up with a valuation of $543,000 on this house, which is way more than the $477 you guys have in the record here. So I'm not sure if it's the right way to, when you're going to offer something. I think maybe in the future you should probably take it off exactly what's being challenged instead of going into the value of the improvement. But then, as I'm looking to, I mean, we can all probably agree that real estate normally appreciates by 4% per year. So when I do that little calculation on the 52,005, I come up with a land, I guess a lot value of maybe 67,000 or something like that, 200. So, I mean, I think we just should settle it right now and just give them what they need. I don't know. I think that maybe we should also take in consideration there was already 15 given on the house, you know. So, and they probably should have been applied to the land value. So I don't know how we address this, but that's just my opinion. Thanks.
May I make one more comment that I think is pertinent? As you all know, we're required to be a minimum of 90% value by the tax commission. This subdivision, even with the lot increases that we did, is 86%. So it is below, as a whole, our 90% minimum. We certainly could have left the lot at 75,000, and we just raised the value of the homes to offset that. So it's sort of, in some cases, it's 6 inches one way and a half a foot another way in order to get to the same place you're going.
Thank you very much, Mr. Smith.
Yeah, thank you. And this is for both the appellant, Ms. Robinson, and the assessors. After hearing the discussion, is either party willing to make another offer for a negotiation? Or do you want to stick by your guns?
We
No,
offered 15,000 off.
An additional
In addition,
offer.
Mr. Robinson.
Michelle's willing to go to 65, and that's about as low as she can go.
Okay, with that said, and y'all shaking your heads no, I'll stick by the motion that I would approve the appeal
Okay, we have
and allow it to move forward.
One more speaker, then we're going to vote on the motion. Ms. Kazadabon.
Yes, I'm new at this and just had this thought. If this, how close is her assessment to the rest of the people in this subdivision? According to they're saying they're abutting this, the Chinchuba. Is it off? I know you're looking at this particular lot, but if we do this, you know, the reduction, will we need to do the reduction for other lots that are in that area, is what I'm saying.
there's roughly 8 lots that are affected by Bayou Chinchuba that we were willing to give the $15,000 reduction to.
Okay.
The ones that are directly affected.
And those people, those 8 other people accepted, they're not questioning their assessment? You'd be willing to do
yes, ma'am.
that and stuff?
They have not questioned their assessment, no ma'am.
They didn't question, okay. That's what I'm saying. It's like, then we would have, and you are willing to continue to do the same thing for these people, so it
Yes,
wouldn't
ma'am.
be affected
Right, it would
that
be
way.
fair to anyone who was affected.
Okay, right. Okay.
I'd just like to say that I was
Mr. Robinson,
listening to your conversation.
please, sir, you can't speak.
Okay.
The motion is second on the floor. Mr. Smith, how do you vote? And just to clarify, the motion is to reduce the property value by $40,000. Yes, Ms. Kazadabon? More comment?
Wait.
No, I have a question for you, okay? Are we voting?
In favor of the appellant.
No, in favor, no.
No, sir, because Mr. Smith said when he asked the assessor if they would go to 65, they said no. He said he's going to keep his motion the same.
At 60?
Yes, sir.
Okay, gotcha, thank you.
So the motion is to value the property at $60,000. You said, I'm sorry, who did we leave off at, Mary?
You just started
It's
with
me.
Brett.
Ms. Kazadabon?
It's up to you. I voted yes.
You voted yes. I vote no.
I vote yes. Mr. Corbin?
I vote no.
Mr. Burke? Mr. Bender?
I vote yes.
Ms. O'Brien? Mary?
Yes.
Motion carries. Notice the next case, Ashley.
Thank you.
Before we move on, I just want to make everyone aware, the tax commissioner, the assessor's office can choose to appeal as well to the tax commissioner, not just the appellant. So I just want to make sure, just keep an eye out in case they do that, that you're aware of it.
I'm going to the Corps of Engineers tomorrow and pull all the data. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Can I just make one
No,
more
ma'am.
comment?
No, ma'am.
It's regarding your form. It has nothing to do with my property. Whoever updated the form, of the appeal form, could they please look at the language in the middle sentence? It has January 1st, 2003. So it was not appropriately updated all the way.
Thank you very much for that comment. Also, if you have any other concerns like that, you can always address that independently outside of the meeting with whether it's this staff or the assessor staff.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Ms. Robinson. Our next case, do I not have one?
I'm gonna just hold this up, right? I think I have it. She wasn't displaying.
I don't have the next one. I don't think I do. Oh, they just don't look the same. Okay. The next case is Professional Land Management Group. Okay, so remember, you have 5 minutes to speak, then the assessor will have 5 minutes to speak, then you each will have 3 minutes to rebut. Please state your name and proceed.
Good afternoon. My name is Mary Devon. I'm a member of the LLC that owns this piece of property. It is 0.82 acres of commercial land on Highway 59, just south of the Dollar General that's right nearby here. What I did is I looked up some surrounding properties based on the assessor's website, and I came up with a bunch of different, and I do have a printout of them if y'all want to pass it around and look at it. So there's a property right directly across the street from us. It's 250 acres, and it's assessed at $7,143. Ours is 0.82 acres, assessed at $25,003. So that's 250 acres at $7,143. There's 8 acres just up the road from us behind the BB Mini Storage. It's assessed at $237. There's 12 acres a little bit further up Highway 59. It's residential, I believe. It's 12 acres, $39,204.
Pass these down.
The property across on the other side of the Dollar Gen from us is assessed at, I'm not sure what the acreage was, it's assessed at $13,699. There's another residential piece closer to Sharp Road, and it's assessed at $5,408. And then there's a 3.37 piece of property just past Sharp Road that's kind of under the same ordinance that my husband's going to talk about. And it's assessed, it's a commercial piece, and it's assessed at $17. So this piece of property is underneath an ordinance that has basically taken some of our property for future use. I remind you that fair market value is what a willing seller will sell and what a willing buyer will buy. We have had this piece of property on the market for multiple years. We've started at $450,000. We're down to $200,000. We can't get $1 for it because of the ordinance that says what the buildable portion of the property is. Thank you.
Know how to improve on that. My name is Dave Devon. I'm the CEO and owner of PLMG, Professional Land Management Group. I've been chasing this piece of property to fix it for the last 13 years because of the ordinance that was ordained in 2012. An ordinance was put in place on this piece of property that put a 75-foot setback on the property, rendering 30 to 35% of the property unusable. In fact, I have correspondence here from Dollar General, who was forced to utilize an additional 50 feet of the property right next to it on Lot 12A in order to get their retention in. Their retention was originally part in front of it where everybody else has been putting it, and when they went to get their permit, they were told they couldn't put it there. So they had to take 50 feet of an adjacent lot that's 50 feet wide by 200 feet deep they had to take. And in fact, they sent me correspondence that says basically that area of the property is of no value to us since we can't utilize it. They had to redo their entire engineering drawings. They took that 50 feet of property in order to make the property go. I contacted the other developer that was interested in Lot 12A. They said, sure, we don't mind giving up 50 feet of the lot. Unfortunately, when they went to turn in their plans, they were denied because they couldn't get their retention in either. They said, they basically called me on the phone and said, forget about it, we don't want it. The next developer, Hutton Development, wanted to put in a small ready-med center there. And after they did their due diligence, they had put in earnest money and started doing their due diligence. We had an agreement for that lot to be purchased at $460, I believe it was, because it's a double lot. I got correspondence from them saying I've been informed that they will be sending you a termination notice that they can't use the property because of the restrictions on it. The last person we had interested in, or developer we had listed in it, was Starbucks. They wanted that property bad. They said they could put a full Starbucks there. And after they
So
started
your
doing
time is up, so wrap it up quickly.
sorry, we reduced the price down to $250,000. They told us we don't care what you charge us, we can't use the property. So I have also correspondence from the DOTD, the ADA of DOTD, not some office clerk.
Say the balance of that for rebuttal, okay?
They don't have any plans to widen Highway 59 at all. Thank you.
I think if we keep administration one, administration.
Hello, my name is Joseph Powell, or JB Powell. I'm a commercial appraiser with the St. Tammany Parish Assessor's Office. Brad is handing out some information that we found that I'm going to go over shortly. But before I do, I'd like to bring up an aerial pictometry map of this property so that we can kind of visualize it.
Okay.
Some of the details that we're going to go over, you'll need to see a map for us to do that. So I don't know how to display that, but we're trying to make that work. Okay, so what do I do?
You want your laptop up there?
Yeah.
I just need to press a button. You just need to tell me.
Okay, we're ready? Okay, this is the property in question. I'm going to back it up just so you can get an idea of where we're at generally. This is Highway 59, just south of I-12, right in front of Fontainebleau High School. If you kind of get your bearings on where we are. So the issue is that the property wasn't usable. Based on the Planning and Zoning Department, you can build 75 feet from the front, from the center of the highway line. So that would be, I'm going to draw a little measurement. That would be from the center of the property, the center of the highway here, and you go 75 feet. That's 99, so that's a little too far. So okay, that's 86 feet, but so let's say about right there. 78, that's as close as I can get. Okay. So that's your setback from the street, from the front street. So you go 75 feet from the center of the highway on the front. Because it's on the corner, normally your setbacks are 25 feet if you weren't on a corner. But the city recognizes that if you're on a corner, they've probably taken some of your property. They will allow you to do a 20 feet back from the side street. So if we do that,
from the center of the street or from the property line?
From the property line, not the center this time. We're property line. So from 20 feet here, I'm trying to guesstimate, roughly, that's 40, that's way too far. So let's do about half that. Sorry about that, I've never tried to do this in this kind of setting. Okay, that's 30 feet, so imagine 5 feet less than that. So yeah, it's a smaller lot and it's got setbacks, but I mean, as you can see, the lot to the south of it across Cane Dog Way, you know, that's a smaller lot and they were still able to do something with that. So the idea that this property is not usable, I disagree with that 100%. And the buildings in the surrounding area also do that. So now I'd like to discuss the value. I had handed out, or Brad had handed out a presentation to you. If you can go to, if you want to see a photograph from it from the street, if you can go to page 3, just to get an idea of what we're looking at. So it's a partially wooded lot. Now this is the part where I show the comparables on page 5. If you pull up a map on page 5, you'll notice at the bottom of the map there's a little balloon called subject. Read 13456. That's the subject site. So I pulled the most similar and closest comparables that we've had along the 59 corridor in the last, I'd say, 3 or 4 years. And the best comparable that we have happens to be comparable number 5, which shares a property boundary to the north. This was a property that was sold recently by the plaintiff. and he sold that property for $7.87 a square foot. Now, this property is twice as big as ours, so typically when you're selling twice as much land, it sells a little bit less. So as an appraiser, and I was trained by Trey Blossman since 2004, I would make a 10% upward adjustment for that, for size. So what I'm saying is the fact that our subject is smaller means that it would sell for a little more per square foot, about 10%. Our current value on the roll is $7 a square foot for the subject. So our closest comp sold for $7.87 a foot, and that was back in 2021. That was 4 years ago. But for commercial land, we're supposed to use target sales, which for the 2024 reassessment would be the second half of 2022 and the first half of 2023. But you don't have enough comparable sales to just stick to 1 year. You kind of have to look at 3 years to get enough sales to make a determination. If you go farther to the north, in 2021, there was also another sale that was adjacent to that property. It sold for $8.94 a square foot.
Save that for the rebuttal, if you don't mind.
Sure.
Let me ask you one question. How many usable square feet do they have on this property?
The same as all the other property. I mean, they can build 75 feet back. We don't look at it.
What is that? I just didn't know if you knew the calculation of how many square feet.
I don't have it. It would take me some time to figure it out, but that's all baked into a sale price per square foot because the other sites have the same issues. They have the same setbacks.
I understand. Okay, you have 3 minutes to rebut, and then you have 3 minutes to continue.
First off, they put an additional 35-foot setback on that. If they do some research, they see that the original deed done by Duval Estates, which is still in place, already has a 40-foot setback on it. It shows it on a survey. I don't know why they didn't see that. And as far as comparables, here's one on Highway 59, 2 acres. Sold for $200,000. That's about $2.90 a square foot, $3 a square foot. Secondly, as far as how much usable land, very good question. The property is zoned Highway Commercial 3. Starbucks told us, we don't care what you sell it to us for. We can't put on it what it's zoned for. That runs into another issue. I don't know how you can pass an ordinance that defeats another part of a code ordinance. I don't know how you can do that. But anyway, and the other fact is that you say you can build 75-foot back. That's what Dollar General had to do. They had all their plans approved. They went through engineering and everything and had their plans approved. They went to pick up building permit and were told, no, you can't do that because it is setback. And the ordinance specifically states there is no construction allowed in the setback. Doesn't say anything about retention. And in fact, I met with Reichert Toledano, Councilman Reichert Toledano, and Marty Gould, the author of this ordinance, and Mr. Gould himself. I swear to God, on my father's grave, told me that was not the intent of the ordinance, to deny it, that you couldn't put your retention and green space in. But because they couldn't put the retention in the front, and they had it on their plans, and they were approved in engineering, they had to push the building further back and go take another 50 feet of a property. That's called value. I can't, much the same point as the gentleman made before me and the lady made before me, I got property that's unusable. Got property that's unusable. So.
Additionally, I'd like to add also that these comparables are all old. There are no new comparables of property that are smaller and have this setback requirement. Because if you have a small piece of property, you can't get a commercial business to put something there. It's just too small with the parking lot and the green space and all that other kind of requirements that, of course, St. Tammany has on the property. That's why all these, there's not one comparable in here other than the property that we sold, and then we had to give away another, not give away, but we had to sell an additional portion of our, because we basically had 2 1-acre plots, and we had to give additional property away so that they could get the retention pond on there. That left us with a corner lot, yes, but a lot too small for anything that we've been able to get any interest on the property. And again, it's fair market value, what someone wants and what someone will pay. And in our experience over the last several years, we can't get anyone to pay us $1 for the property.
Okay, the assessor has 3 minutes now, and I do have a question when he's finished.
I have 2 questions. The first is, I was not able to find a listing on the subject property, and that's one of the things I always check before long before we get to this level. If they say it's listed, I would like to know what it's listed for, and I would like to see some sort of proof of that. What price per square foot are they asking? That's my main question. The other question I have is, Starbucks just built, okay, if you look at this map I'm looking at here, this is just a map of all the land comps I have in St. Tammany, going back pretty much forever. So this is where the subject is, right? You're about roughly a third of a mile south of I-12.
Correct.
So let's move north, and we'll go about the same distance, about a third of the mile north, okay? My zoom in doesn't work so well sometimes, though. So Starbucks bought right here, I believe. They paid $17.89 a square foot for just going a third of a mile north of I-12 for a smaller lot than the subject. I don't understand the non-buildable nature of the subject, given this information.
Question, how big is the parcel that they're on?
33,541 square feet.
That's what they're on. How big is the total parent parcel?
It's one parcel. I can give you the size. I'd have to pull up the assessment. That was for 2022. That's a relatively recent sale. That's in the target. I did not pull that initially because it's farther to the north. I wanted to show you comps that were right next door that sold recently. But we can use $17.89 a square foot. Well, that's fine.
We'd rather use the one that Becky Dino's property, 250 acres, where it's assessed for $700.
Hey, hold on.
Well, I would like to know where that property is, because I'd like to look at that.
Directly across the street. Directly across the street. So, we know well about Starbucks. As a matter of fact, I got correspondence from the real estate manager who was trying to negotiate with us, I believe, and he confirmed that they went north of I-12.
Mr. David, please, it's not your turn to speak. We have councilmen that would like to speak. I do have one question, and I'm going to go to Mr. Smith. You're saying the 40-foot setback you said was on the side street?
No. Off of 59.
Okay.
On deed restrictions.
That's why. Okay, understood.
And deed restrictions can't be relieved.
Understood. Mr. Smith.
Getting to that, your 40-foot setback you're talking about, was that from the property line? Because the 70-foot setback's from the center of the highway, if I'm not mistaken.
It ends up an additional 15 feet in back of the 40-foot setback.
Secondly, that property is zoned HC3, correct?
That's what the last one.
I would think that adds a lot of value to the property, personally. There's a lot of uses that can be used for.
Can you send them to me?
Well, you can look, go to the planning department and ask them what the conditional uses, uses.
If you can send me clients who are willing to
purchase. I'm not in the real estate business.
Okay, I am.
Well, I'm thinking that property has a lot more value than what you are asking for, which is basically zero.
Well, I mean, that's...
After hearing these two, I tend to believe that the assessors is making a fair assessment on this piece of property. That's my personal decision. I don't know about my colleagues. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Mr. Bender.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Matt or whoever, I'm reading your property description for acreage. Is it 0.924 acres or is it 120.924 acres? Do you see your page like this?
The property is 0.82 acres.
35,719.2 square feet.
Ma'am.
Okay. So it's 0.82 acres, and did y'all have this at 300 and something thousand last year or a couple of years ago and reduced it to 250?
I'll have to look for a moment.
Okay, I'm looking through my stuff.
I had many more reviews than I normally have this year, so I wasn't. Some of the packets are not as detailed as others. I was moving fast, so I can.
That's okay.
Okay.
Assessor, they're asking for $0 on the land?
My understanding is they were asking for use value, which is not legal. The land use is woodland land use. We had a disagreement with this gentleman before, on the piece that sold to the north for $7.87. In 2020, I discovered that that piece of property had land use value for timber growth. That's not legal. And there was a lot of properties like that on Highway 59 that I had to remove land use from. There was probably 35 or 40. So he wasn't alone. We weren't picking on him. We were just trying to follow the law. Having use value on commercial property that doesn't deserve it is a legal issue for us, and it's an equity problem for the parish. So we do take it seriously. So his request for land use value was a no-go from the beginning. So the discussion on his review was never about, hey, I'm valued at $7 a foot, I think I should be at $6 or $5 or anything else. It was use value, which is not going to happen. It's not legal.
But, sir, just answer this direct for me, okay? I'm looking at assessed value on his appeal, okay? Y'all have it at $25,003, which equates to $250,330 of fair market value, okay?
That's correct.
Below it, I'm requesting the assessed value of this property be fixed at 0. He's asking for the land value to be assessed at 0, which has a fair market value then of 0.
Yeah, it's not the worst request I've ever received.
Okay, so I'm going to agree with my colleague, Mr. Smith. I think the assessed value of $25,003 with a fair market value of $250,000 is fair. I'm gonna go with Mr. Smith.
I have a question for Mr. Powell.
Sir,
what was the assessment in 2009,
Sir.
in 2024?
Sir, excuse me. You can't ask questions. It doesn't work that way.
Really?
Ms. O'Brien.
Yes, the Devons have been complaining about this situation for many, many years. Chairman, may I ask them a question?
Yes, ma'am, of course.
How many times have you tried to sell it where you thought you had a sale, and then because of the rules, regulations, everything with development and all, the sale?
4.
4. And do you have anybody showing any interest whatsoever?
No.
Do you currently have it listed?
No, we talked to our real estate manager to list it, and he said, don't do it till you can get everything straightened out. We can't get any bites on it.
Okay.
And I've been trying for 12 years.
And I remember him complaining about this for a long time. I know at one point you told me you were going to try to meet with President Cooper because you had concerns about the stuff that was happening with planning and all. Did that meeting ever occur?
The meeting did occur. I met Mr. Cooper at PJ's right down the street. Mr. Cooper said he understood everything and he agreed with me that the ordinance should not be in place. He said he was going to, that was back in September of 2024. He said he was going to introduce an amendment to the ordinance to strike down the setback on Highway 59 from 1088 to Harrison, Dog Pound Road. That never occurred. Mr. Cooper has not returned my phone calls, emails, or messages.
Okay.
And just as a point of note, the assessment on this property, I appreciate what Mr. Powell is saying about 0. I think I had that beat. I think the parish itself, in 2023, the assessment we paid on this was 9 cents. 9 cents in 2023. In 2022, it was the same thing. And it was because of the ordinance. They understood that there was difficulty with it and just assessed it at 9 cents. So don't put all of this on me.
Okay, thank you.
Well, I was going to say, while I don't agree with 0 because there is some value, I would like to see if there would be room for additional negotiation, given the fact that they've literally, and I know they've complained to me, they've complained to Pat Phillips. This is nothing new. They're in Pat Phillips' district, and I know Mr. Phillips is out of the state right now, so he was unable to attend today. But they have said over and over again, look, we're trying to sell it. We can't complete the sale. So this is a legitimate complaint that I have not heard for the first time today.
I will be honest, the only reason I put the 0 down was to get attention. It wasn't getting anywhere, Mr. Impastato.
Yes,
that's
sir,
all.
I understand.
And I'll agree to go back to with the assessment that was more reasonable. We got assessed on this 1 year. I think it was $440 $444, I think that was the assessment. I don't know how it jumped up.
Okay, thank you for your comments. Do y'all have,
That was
like
a
Mr.
taxable.
O'Brien asked, is there any flexibility on this?
There is not.
There's zero flexibility?
Zero.
Okay. Do we have a motion?
I would like to make a motion to deny the appeal. Give the applicant an opportunity to go to the state for an appeal if they feel it's necessary. Is that correct, legal?
Yeah, to affirm the assessor's assessment.
Yes, I want to affirm the assessment, the assessor's assessment.
Would you all give them an opportunity to get an outside appraisal?
That's what they're going to get.
Sure. I mean, I'm always careful about that because they are supposed to use comparables in the target sales dates and close by. So, sure, we would always look at it, but I mean, I can show you every comparable that we have on that street. So if they don't use some of those comparables and they go off 4 miles north and use something halfway to Abita, which is worth $4 a foot, I will be on the lookout for that. They need to have comps that are within a third of the mile, and they need to be on Highway 59. And I would say nothing before 2021 at the latest.
But it would probably be good for them to go to a credible appraiser like a Trey Blossman.
I would welcome
and bring
it
for their
because at
state.
last they'll get an idea of what it's really worth and maybe put this to an end.
Okay.
If they file an appeal, they get free.
Okay.
Yeah, the tax
Good
commission
point.
will
I did not
issue
know.
an appraiser who will come out and look at this and issue an appraisal report.
Okay. We have a motion by Mr. Smith. Do we have a second on that motion? By Mr. Burke. Any more discussion? No. Mr. Smith, how do you vote?
Yay.
Ms. Kazenbaum?
Yay.
I vote yay. Mr. Corbin?
Yay.
Mr. Burke?
Yay.
Ms. O'Brien? Motion carries.
Mr. Bender.
I'm so sorry, Mr. Bender. How could I ever forget you? How do you vote, sir? Yay.
Motion passes 6 yeas and 1 nay.
Okay, our next case is Ashley.
I had him sign and then date and write withdraw next to his name.
Where's another sheet?
Yep, sorry.
Are we going in any order here? 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, they're all me from here forward.
Pelican Point. I do not have your full packet in front of you. Please state your name for the record. Step up. You have 5 minutes. Then the assessor's office will have 5 minutes, and each of you will have 3 minutes to rebut. After you state your name, please proceed.
Okay, thank you. And if I've got extra copies of my evidence, can that be passed out? Or?
Sure.
Okay. Thank you. And my name is Kyle Moon. Go ahead and go.
Yes, please.
Okay. My name is Kyle Moon. Thank you, Mr. Chairman and council members, for being here today. I'm representing the owner of Pelican Point today. It's an apartment complex currently valued at a fair market value per the parish of $28,083,000. We are requesting a fair market value of $22,605,414.
No, thank you.
Sorry, we're just getting the timer set.
Oh, no, that's good. Okay. So we're asking for a value today of $22,605,414. Whenever we value these multifamily assets, we look at their income, what financials they're actually producing to see, hey, if they were to list this for sale today, what would someone be realistically willing to pay for it based on how it's performing? In this case, we feel that the parish is using mass appraisal and generalities in terms of what expenses should be, what rents should be, et cetera. And we're here today to ask you guys to consider the actual performance of the property. I've supplied 3 years of financials and rent roll as well. So my first page of my packet, for those that have a copy of it, we do an income approach to value. So what we do is we take the rent straight off the page, what they're actually able to achieve in a gross potential rent, and that is on this property $4,436,194. Then we will back out the vacancy and collection loss, which is going to be physical vacancy as well as any kind of economic vacancy as well. So that is a total of $837,687. Then we add back in the secondary income that they achieve. So it could be anything from secondary income, parking lots, et cetera. That is $376,544. That gives us an effective gross income of 3.975. We are using a 6.5% cap rate. We are loading the taxes into that to give a total cap rate of 8.04%, which is, we're in agreement with the county on the cap rate. That gives us a total value of $22,605,000. I'll go quick here. I produced a email from the executive vice president of asset management for Reef, who is the owner of Pelican Point. A little bit about Reef Holdings, the owner. They own 15,000 multifamily doors across the United States. They're a huge operator. And one of the main disagreements I had with the county was their insurance. And the parish said that their insurance was too high. I can promise you that they do their due diligence and get the lowest insurance possible. It's not a mom and pop. It's not a single operator that's just getting bad insurance rates. They shop all around and they get the best rates possible. On Pelican Point in particular, because of where it's located at, they have a particularly high insurance cost, and there's really no way to get it down. So the email, I won't read the whole thing for the sake of time, but the first one on top here, I asked Anthony Perez why his insurance is what it is, and he basically said, given the property's location being in a floodplain, it's subject to higher property insurance rates than neighboring assets, which might be considered comparable properties. Owner has elected to keep its named storm deductible at a reasonable capped 5%. Property also must pay for standalone flood insurance for half of the building on top of higher property insurance rates it faces because it's in a high-risk flood zone. So effectively, it's in a very high-risk area, which is why their insurance premium is much higher than maybe some surrounding parcels. If I go to my next page here, I just kind of did a year-over-year summary. So in 2022, this was, if we look at bottom line net operating income above the line, so not taking into consideration mortgage debt or capital expenditures, the net operating income was $2,213,000 in 2022. In 2023, it was $1.7 million, and in 2024, it was $1.4 million. So effectively, it's getting worse performance year over year due to the high costs of expenses that go into here, and they're just not getting the rent growth that they thought they would get year over year. So when we look at this, we have to value it and say, hey, what would someone buy for this? What would someone pay for this property? Well, we think that someone would look at the income approach and say, hey, what is my expected return here? Well, this is performing worse and worse year over year. We feel like the parish is using mass appraisal, like I mentioned, and saying, hey, you should be at X% insurance, you should be at X% expenses. While I understand that as a mass appraisal, you have to look at that to start out with, but we would ask that you consider our financials. I also included 3 years of financials, 22, 23, and 24 financials, as well as rent rolls, which shows what I'm saying on my summary here. So basically, to conclude, I appreciate your time today, and we hope to get consideration to the fact that we can't be valued at $28 million because the income simply doesn't support that.
Okay. Thank you very much for your time. Joseph?
Okay, we originally valued Pelican Point. Basically what we did was a rent study it was for the 2024 tax year was when we reassessed them. So we did a rent study from early 22 and early 23 and figured out a gross potential income for every apartment complex in the parish. We gave it across the board a 10% vacancy rate, even though most of the centers were 95 to 97% full. Every once in a while, you'll get someone who's 85, 90%. And I said, look, if we use a 10% vacancy rate, we've got probably 95% of the people covered. And those 5%, they can send in info, and we'll deal with them as they come. One of the things that we did for 2024 compared to prior years is originally we had mass assigned a 36% expense ratio. Now, that's not to say that some centers didn't have higher expense ratios, but that was kind of a happy medium to where, okay, if you have a higher rate, then send in your tax return for the proper year, and we'll certainly do an income approach that's more specific to your property, and if it reduces the property, then so be it. We made that adjustment. We do have one caveat to that. We do require a tax return for the proper year. So for this year being 2025, we would need a 2024 tax return. We requested that information from the owners. We did not receive it, which is why we did not reduce it. We are still open to make reductions if we are given the information that we need. However, an interim financial statement is not what we need. We need the full copy of the 2024 tax return. And I'll use the same model that we used before. I'll just take the net income and I'll plug it in. Now, I'm not saying that we can get to the number requested. I would not be surprised if it got reduced some. But before we go that far, I would like to tell you some more things about this property. Okay, this property, the last sale on this property was in 2021, and it sold for $42 million. Our current value is $28 million and change. That's $28,083,000. That was my model of income approach produced a value of $28,083,000. We're considerably below the sale price of $42 million. And just to go back a little further than that, in 2018, this property sold for $28,600,000, and then they did a $1 million renovation in 2019. So 3 years later, it sells for $42 million. Again, we're at $28 million. I'm almost half of that. So it's difficult to imagine a world in which we can reduce this. However, we will look at income if they provide it to us, but I'm not making any promises.
I think that sounds fair. Okay, you have 3 minutes to rebut, sir.
Okay, thank you. What I'll say on that is it's a very common occurrence that we've seen across the board with multifamily owners, especially institutional investors such as Reef Holdings, that they overpaid for a lot of things in 2020 and 2021 when interest rates were a fraction of what they are now. I agree with the parish, and the parish agrees with me that $42 million is not the value today. That's why they're at $28 million. So we can both agree that that's not what it's worth now. As far as the tax returns go, I did request it from the owner. Unfortunately, on something like this, I requested it. I even put it in here. Anthony Perez said the reason we can't supply the returns is because Pelican Point is a single member LLC of a large portfolio, therefore is disregarded on federal income purposes. It does not have a single return that we can give them. It rolls up all into their fund. So it's not something I can just say, trust me, if we could provide it, we would. And he would love to make this go away so we don't have to take it to the state. But I requested this, and it's part of a fund, and he says it's consolidated return. Same goes with audited financial statements, so there's not a standalone tax return for Pelican Point. So if we could supply it and easily just work something out with JB, we would love to. I requested it, and we can't do that. So we have their financials that we presented today. We both agree that $42 million is not the value today. I think using my actuals presented here today, $22,600,000 is a very reasonable market value. That's all I got.
Thank you, Mr. Smith.
Yeah. Is it Kyle?
Yes.
Okay. Where are you from, if you don't mind me asking?
I'm from Rockwall, which is 30 miles east of Dallas.
And I heard you use the word county quite a few times.
I know, that's my fault. I try to correct myself and say parish. I'm used to county.
I got you.
Sorry.
I got you. Hey, and I find it hard to believe that the owners of that apartment complex cannot provide a tax return for it. I don't know how you can say it's all rolled together because they have different investments and file one tax return for their combined portfolio of apartments throughout the country. Is that what you're telling me, why they can't do that?
Correct, and I'm not a CPA, so I don't know 100%, but when we asked him, he said, hey, we do not have a standalone for this. It's part of their fund. They have a fund with about $4.6 billion, and they file it together.
I find that a little fishy. I get the fun part when they group it together and looking for other investors. You put in a few dollars and you own a piece of all of it. More than likely, that's what they're talking about.
We didn't give us a chance to rebut. I'm sorry.
I'm just looking at something. If this apartment unit was sold at $42 million in 2021, and these guys assessed it at $28 million today in 2025. You know, it seems pretty fair to me because there's a huge demand for apartments. We face it as a council all the time. We don't have, you know, we don't have affordable housing. We don't have places for service workers or first responders to live, etc. With that need that I'm familiar with here in St. Tammany Parish, I find it pretty unusual that this property value, and looking at the pictures, it looks like it's in good shape. I think it's a reasonable assessment of $28 million versus something that was sold at $42 million 4 years ago. So I tend to lean with the assessor's assessment at this point. Maybe my colleagues had some other comments or questions.
The only mistake I made is that I did not give Mr. Powell a chance to rebut, I don't think.
I would like to.
Please, sir.
If you go to the last page of your packet, it's page 9. So we have access to this program called TREP, which you've all heard of mortgage-backed securities. Well, they have commercial mortgage-backed securities. This is a program that displays all the banking information, the details on this loan, the appraisal value and such. And the appraisal value that they have on file for that property is $42 million. Lo and behold, what it's sold for. The loan balance right now, $31,264,000. If they sold that property for $22 million, they would have to cut the bank a $10 million check for the collateral difference. That's not right. I do believe they overpaid at $42 million. I do believe that, which is why we're at 28. But $28 million gives a lot of room for overpayment down from 42.
Good point. Mr. Bender.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman. To the assessor, we keep talking about $42 million and what it was earlier. They're not asking for any difference in the land value. They're good with the land value what you all have it assessed at, okay? But in the fair market value, you've got $28 million for the property, and you've got $2,800,000 for the land.
That's correct. We allocated a value of $2.50 for the land value.
So together, you have it right now, correct me if I'm wrong, you have the improvements and the land at $31 million.
$28,083,000 is our.
No. I said the improvements and the land. What I want to ask is, what I've been hearing is, if they sold it today, well, they got to sell the land with it.
Sorry, I'm not following.
28 million is the
total.
That's land and building together.
28 million is what is what you're offering.
Correct.
For the land and the building. The building is at 25 million.
That's a land value of $2,792,000.
My mistake.
Okay, I'm sorry, I misunderstood.
No, it's my mistake. I apologize. I mean, I'm very familiar with that apartment complex because it's in Slidell. Sir, have you been told why your insurance is so high because of the location? Because while I don't know, I don't have a map, a flood map right now, but it's at the corner of Brown Switch and Robert Road. That's above I-12. Now, I mean, unless the land itself, this one piece of land is low, and I don't know where, if it's low, where the water would come from, because there's not any bayous that I'm aware of anywhere around this, okay? So have you asked the owner why it's so high? Because it's above I-12.
Yes, I have. I haven't done a survey or anything on it to tell you exactly where the floodplain is, but as I mentioned earlier, yes, I did ask him, because to me, whenever we're looking at insurance, if we have an issue with a parish, it wasn't an issue to me. It was an issue brought to me by JB, because he told me that it's above market. So I say, okay, what does that mean? Let me reach out to the owner, right? He was the one that told me, and we've seen insurance premiums go up across the board everywhere. I mean, they're just going up like crazy. So to me, I'm like, hey, this is in line. JB says it's not in line with his comparables. I can't see him. What Anthony Perez told me is this one in particular, he told me this is in a floodplain. So he said this property is in a floodplain subject to higher property insurance premiums and maybe some of the comparables. I don't know what comparables JB's using specifically to give you reference point, but that is what they told me.
And that's all the information you have, is that he told you it's in a floodplain.
Yeah, because I just said, hey, can you give me some color on your insurance? The parish thinks it's too high. And he said, and he basically told me that and said, I can assure you we've shopped it around. It's not, we can't get it lower. Like, it's not going down.
I understand. But based upon everything I'm seeing, I'm going to agree with my colleague, Councilman Smith, again. I think that the $28 million that they're offering is reasonable based upon everything I've heard. Thank you.
Mr. Burke?
Yes, this actually happens to be in my district. I'm very familiar with this particular apartment complex. Is the occupancy rate going down on this?
I know we have 18% vacancy this year. I can tell you in like 10 seconds.
And also, just for the record, I'm not sure that it even floods around that area. Even at Katrina, I don't believe it flooded at this particular apartment complex. Even with Katrina, it didn't flood there. But flood insurance is a whole another discussion for another day. But it's not what we're here. But
it looks about the same year over year.
Yeah, because what I'm trying to figure out is, I know that the values are based on income too as well, and I guess, has management changed?
No.
Has it been the same management for years and years?
No, they purchased it, as JB mentioned it, and they've operated it since day one. Right. And it's just one of those, they purchased it for a price that obviously they regret now. And even the $28 million, and talking to them, they don't think they could sell it for $28 million. I know JB is saying what they owe on it, but people miss all the time.
Well, we experienced that post-Katrina as well. We had in 2006, we had a lot of homes being sold for almost double and triple their normal price because of demand. So yes, 2021, we had low interest rates. We were down in the twos, for interest rates. So people were willing to pay more for. So I can see why you would have been overcharged for $42 million.
Yep.
Is there any type of room for negotiation here? Can we go? It looks like there's a $5,477,000 difference. Can we split that in half?
Well, we're willing to negotiate, but the first thing that should happen is we should be given the data that we requested, and that hasn't happened.
Right.
I mean, let me give you an example. I've only got about, 12 or 15 total reviews, but I had about 200 total this year. I'd say about 75% of those, they send in interim financial statements, and I say, look, I need a tax return. It has to be from 2024. About 75%, I never hear from them again. And you can take from that what you will, but I think it's important that we get verified income and not just some interim financial statements. I want something official. And if they're not going to deny me that, then I don't know why we should negotiate at all.
Right. So I'm not sure that I understand the whole tax return issue. I mean, I do understand a little bit. I've had multiple businesses myself, and I've always been able to kind of separate them. But obviously, it's much bigger than me. But
I've never seen a bank that will lend you money without you giving them a tax return. And I was in banking for a long time. I mean, clearly they're furnishing that information to their lender. I don't understand why they can't furnish it to us.
What if they supply it and it is rolled up? Like, what if it is all together? Then we just can't work it on an income approach then?
I mean, usually it's singled out on the schedule with different properties.
I know, but they're telling me it's not.
Can you audited financials for the bank?
They said that it's all rolled up in their fund.
I mean,
they want to reduce the value. Trust me.
Right.
I guess
I'm not a CPA, so I don't know.
I guess my question, it seems to me like, you should know the state of your affairs for each property. So it seems like, management should, or ownership should be able to look at each single property and say, how much am I making on each one? So there's got to be some kind of CPA certified document that can be provided for the 2024 financials for that particular property.
I think it's reasonable.
I think it's reasonable. Maybe not a tax return, but I'm sure the CPA can give an audited financial report for 2024 and sign off on it.
I have a quick question. From looking at it, it does look like, as a standalone, it's cash flow positive currently. Is that
Correct.
accurate?
So, yeah, let me verify. Let me look at it real quick.
I mean, it showed it to me.
Certainly above the line it is. I haven't, typically whenever we're valuing these, I don't really go below the line, so I don't want to tell you something that's not factual.
Press your button.
Depends on where you're looking, I guess is my answer. Because I mean, they're above the line, yes. Their total net operating income is 1.4 million. And then when you back out total debt service, capital expenditures, capital rehab, they're at negative 459,000.
Okay, so it's not, okay. Any more questions? Any more discussion?
I'm just going to point out one little
Yes, Mr.
tidbit
Faust.
here from my years of dealing with examiners and banking and loans, that going back to that TREP report, in the middle column, all the way down the bottom, they have a thing called watch list status. That's a term bank uses for loans that have issues. Could be substandard, watch list. All those, when you have something like that, the bank's got to appropriate capital for potential loss. And where I'm going with this, if that bank has a $22 million appraisal on a $31 million loan, that loan's going to be in a watch list. Substandard, they're going to have to
That's the problem.
allocate reserves for a potential $10 million loss.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. Do we have a motion? Mr. Smith, did you make yours as a form of a motion?
I'll make the motion
Okay, press your button, please.
I'll make the motion to agree with the assessor's assessment.
We have a motion by Mr. Smith. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Kazenbaum. So seeing no more discussion, Mr. Smith, how do you vote?
Yes.
Ms. Kazenbaum?
Yes.
I vote yes. Mr. Corbin?
Yay.
Mr. Burke? No. Mr. Bender?
Yes.
Ms. O'Brien? Yes. Did I forget anybody? Motion carries. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you all, gentlemen. Ashley, what is our next case? Mr. David Lemuel? I don't have the packet in front of me.
She's giving you.
Okay. Mr. Lemuel, please go ahead and state your name, and you have 5 minutes. Then you'll have 3 minutes to rebut after the assessor goes.
Thanks. I'm the oldest, so I'll talk first.
Okay.
I'm E.J. Lemieux. My address in Slidell is 132 Rue de la Paix, Slidell. I'm a lifelong resident, as is my brother, except for military service. We spent our whole lives in St. Tammany Parish. We've never even asked for a review before. So we hate to take your time, but I mean, this is something that's important enough to us to, you know, to try to get taken care of. We're talking about 2 parcels here. My brother and I didn't buy it. We inherited it about 15 years ago when our father passed. And he'd owned it for years and years. I know most people are familiar with Pontchartrain Drive. This property is in the little triangle. It's really a hole, but the triangle that's formed with Pontchartrain Drive, Lakeview Drive, and North Shore Circle. When they constructed North Shore Circle years ago, they created a bar pit there. The area flooded. There's a culvert underneath North Shore Circle that lets water in and out. The Parish Sewage District number 2 had a pump there until Katrina. Katrina took the pump out. The area flooded again. We call it a floodplain, and we're not talking about Pelican Point Apartments. We're talking about flooding, 3 or 4 feet of water. My brother installed a pump just to pump it out to be able to use the second lot, which is about 150 by 156, which also they abut. The 3.1 acre parcel had a use evaluation adjustment for about 15 years. It may be even longer than that, but I know it was 15 years. And it was some very small amount. The land value was $150 or something like that. This year, the use evaluation was taken off, and I was listening to the gentleman talk. We feel like it's legitimate because the area floods. Without the pump that he operates at his expense, it has 2 or 3 feet of water on it. So we really feel like that the land is not usable for really anything but a buffer, if you want to call it a buffer. I've talked to the floodplain administrator, Denise Landry, and she said, look, it's very difficult to fill anything now, around the lake. Plus when you get into a situation like this where you're really talking about floodplain land, you couldn't fill it. I mean, you couldn't get a permit to fill it. So we talked to appraisers. Everybody's kind of busy right now, with a fairly short time frame. I did have one appraiser, Calamari, tell me, look, I looked at the property. What you got there is a floodplain, dude. So just today, my brother's been trying to get a surveyor out there to kind of, confirm the elevations that we're talking about. And I'll let David, take it from there.
I think on the first page you can see what the surveyor wrote. He took the entire piece of property, and to bring it up to grade at the edge of Highway 11 would require 33,022 cubic yards of dirt. That would bring it up to a buildable height. I reached out to Kelly Barber to get a price on what that would cost. I have his text message on my telephone right here. There's a price of 33,000 yards. Just truckloads dumped would be $17 a yard. In place and compacted to build on would be a total price of $841,500 to bring it up to the level that the assessor is saying Eden Isles Highway H2 property is rated at. So right now it's dry. I have the picture, if you look at the very last picture in my portfolio that's full of water, that's 5 days of rain with my pump broken. So that is worth $260,000 or $280,000. Please write me a check. I'll take 200. But it's not buildable. The parish won't let me put a spoonful of dirt on it. And it's dry because I'm pumping it out. And I do use it because I own a pile driving company. My dad's been there since 1947 in this same location. And I do have stuff on it, but we also just bought a 2-acre lot in Mississippi because the cost of keeping this pumped out And every time we have a storm or rain, we have to take everything out again because equipment, if my equipment floods, when Ida hit, I had excavators underwater, bobcats underwater. I had to go to the DEQ to be able to pump it out. That took me 2 weeks. The neighbors in the area were incensed that I was pumping water that came out of Lake Pontchartrain the day before and filled the property, that I was pumping it back into Lake Pontchartrain. And I was explaining to it, that's where it came from. You know, so I'm just asking, if nothing else, that the use evaluation be put on it, back on it, because I can't sell it. Larry Hake came out and looked at it because I was thinking about selling the whole piece and moving. And he said, it's not marketable. You would have to bring it up to the grade that I can sell it to somebody. Also, 100 feet from Highway 11 out is DOT state property. So not only would I have to fill 33,000 acres, but I would have to fill 100 feet off of Highway 11 to the property that I own to give them access.
Say the rest. You still have 3 minutes for a rebut. Would you all like to start?
Yes. The base value per square foot that we have along Pontchartrain Drive is $4.50 a square foot, and everything south of Salmon we reduced 10% for location because the prices are a little lower once you get south of Salmon. We do make further adjustments for size as being the most frequent, but something else that happens a lot along Highway 59, especially south of Salmon, is we have front depth ratio adjustments, and that means you've got a very, very skinny lot and a very deep lot. There's a lot of those left. A lot of the vacant land that's being sold off right now are skinny lots, and we usually adjust down 20% for those. So if you look at, I'm going to jump to the last page of the packet that I gave you. Well, no, I'm sorry. Let's go to the photographs first. I would like for you to get an idea of what the property looks like from the street. So that's page 4. You know, the top is looking at the wettest part of the property. And the middle is kind of turned to the left, more north. And then the bottom photograph is turning more to the right toward the lake. And in the back, you can see Mr. Lemuel's commercial building on a lot that he is not contesting here today. We're only talking about the vacant land next to it. So if we go to page number 9, I can show you a plat map of the property in question. It's actually 2. So there's a large parcel in that plat map. That's assessment number 122556. It's very irregular. It's kind of a weird L shape with another cutout. And then the other assessment number is the one next to the building, north of the building, but kind of surrounded by the larger lot. So it's those 2 lots. The value I have on the smaller lot is $4.05 a square foot, which is the exact same value as I have on the land underneath the building. That is basically the $4.50 base value minus 10% equals $4.05. The back piece, as we stated, when I looked at these for 2025 reassessment, I noticed that this property and the larger one next to it, it had land use value. It had woodland timber use, another property that had it illegally. So I had to remove it because you can't have timber on that property, number one. And I valued it accordingly. But what we did not make was a topography adjustment. So my assistant, Rosalind Bryant, who did most of the talking with the owner, we had decided to make a fairly large reduction to the back piece, the back irregular piece. In addition to size, we took another 30% off for topography and shape. So that brought the value down to $1.80. A significant reduction was made to this property. The issue is that we had to take away land use value, and that was the rub. That Mr. Lemuel just said, no, it doesn't matter how far you lower me. If you take away land use value, I don't accept it, which is something I had to do because it's not timber property. Could that 30% adjustment for topography be higher? To go another 10%, maybe even 15%, I'd be okay with that. But that wasn't what was discussed on the conversation. It was use value or nothing. and I can't do it because it doesn't have trees on it. It's not fair. So I want to go through some of the other comparables. If you go to page 6, you can see the subject parcel, the little balloon at the bottom. And as you move north, you can see all the comparables that sold on Pontchartrain Drive. And these are all commercially zoned properties. That's all I value. I don't do the residential. And most of the values are anywhere between $3.50 to $5.56 a foot. I would just like to point out that every one of the comparables, that would be comparables 1, 2, 3, and 4, all of these are below $4 a foot, and that's because all of them have a front depth ratio of less than 50%. That means they're skinny, and I can give you an example of what that looks like in our system, just so you can visualize it. If you can, okay, that's the subject, but we're going to go to one of the comparables. Okay, see this parcel coming out? Notice how it's very skinny in the front. It's very narrow and it's deep. It's difficult to develop commercial parcels with that when you have to take into account parking and setbacks. So they do deserve a fairly large reduction downward, but every lot that had a front depth ratio like that, we reduced 20%. The reason why we didn't reduce his is because they don't have that issue. His corner piece underneath his building where he operates, that's a corner site, so that the front depth ratio is always 1-to-1. The piece next to it, and I'll go back to his property.
Mr. Powell, would you mind saving that for the rebuttal? We'll let them rebut, and you'll still have more time just so we can move things along. Thank you very much.
Right.
You have
Sir,
3 minutes, please.
I agree with what he's saying. Here's the problem. First of all, everything he's showing you is on a navigable canal in Eden Isles, which is marketable. You can pull boats there. You can do things with it. On this picture that I showed you, here is one of my men standing this morning holding a pole with a red flag on it. That red flag is even with the edge of the road on Highway 11. It's 11 feet in the air. You see that? The pictures that you took do not properly represent that. They were backed off looking at it, and it looks wonderful. But that's not the case. That's why I had Mr. Impostata go out there, shoot grades in 24 areas on that piece of property, and he said it takes 34,000 feet of dirt to bring it up to the edge of the road. None of that in any of those properties you're showing down Highway 11 is that case, because that's all Eden Isles. It's filled, it's bulkheaded, it's complete, and I agree with all those estimates. Mine is nothing. If I pull the plug on that pump and the water comes up 1 foot from the top of the bulkhead on the other side of North Shore Circle, the water backs up through the culvert that Drainage District Number 2 used to pump through and runs into my property. And in a day and a half, it's got water like that picture that I showed you all the way up to the top of the road.
Yeah, let me say one thing, David. With all due respect, there are no comparables to this property along Pontchartrain Drive. Correct. I mean, I was raised out there, and I'm pretty old, unfortunately. And I can tell you, there are no comparables. We're talking about land that's filled all the way up to Highway 11 versus a 10-foot hole that we would have never bought, but we inherited it, okay? And again, David's got to pump it out to keep it dry. So there are no comparables to this property. And I spoke to Ms. Bryant myself. I didn't say my way or the highway, or we want our exemption, or we don't want anything else. As a matter of fact, that's why I put $25,000 for a value, because the value had been $150 for like 15 years. And what I suggested was for someone to come out and walk the property, actually walk it. and look at what we're talking about. I don't know that anyone did that. Doesn't seem like they did. So we think the value is $25,000, and I think that's being generous.
Thank you, Mr. Middle. Okay, Mr. Powell, I'm sorry, you can finish. The entire 3 minutes.
Where do we leave off? I'm sorry.
Long, skinny pieces of
Oh,
property,
okay, yeah,
commercial.
so the ones that are selling below $4 a foot all have front depth ratio issues. So when you look at this comparable sales map, just keep that in mind. Anything that's sold for $3 something a square foot is a skinny lot and gets a downward reduction for being skinny and deep that the subject doesn't get. Like I said, I mean, I know you often ask for, okay, is there any room for adjustment? If you were to add 10 or 20% to put this to rest, we could accept that, but it doesn't sound like that would solve the issue.
Okay, finished? Thank you. We're going to bring it back to the council and go to Mr. Corbin. And so this property is not on a navigable waterway?
No, sir.
Okay. Mr.
And-
Corbin?
And if you look at...
Oh, wait. I'm sorry. Let Mr. Corbin go. He may have a question for you, but there's no more time for you to speak.
Okay, I'm very familiar with this property. I've been out there many times because we've been working on drainage on North Circle and that whole area. When you say land use, I recognize there's no trees. Can you give me a little information on a very short primer on land use?
Woodland land use is basically 99% off the value. It's the government sets the value per acre, and it usually comes out to be about 99% off the value. And there are issues, though. You have to have 3 acres. It has to be under, it can't be worth over $100,000 per acre, which comes out to be $2.30 a square foot at that or higher, and it's not entitled to it.
Okay.
Now, there are other wetland issues, yes, that don't require 3 acres. However, that topography adjustment we made was to settle the fact that the back of it does have some wetland, as most waterfront properties do. Again, we made adjustments for these issues. If we were willing to make smaller upward adjustments, we'd be willing to do that, but that wasn't what we discussed on the phone. It was all about land use value.
Right. So, secondly, if they turned off the pump, then that wetlands would spread.
Well, I would be willing to look at this property, but I mean,
I don't know that it's worth 0, or I don't know if these low numbers are right. I think there may be someplace in between.
yeah, I don't think it's worth $25,000.
Right. I think because it's usable. You don't have any idea what it costs you to run your pump annually, do you?
No, sir, I don't. And as a matter of fact, as soon as, like I said, I bought property in Mississippi, within the next 6 months, that pump's going to be off and that will be flooded.
Okay.
Because I'm moving somewhere else.
Right. I understand.
I mean, not the business, but,
Right.
you know,
So
certain.
where I can stack stuff, because if the pump goes underwater in a storm, then the pump's ruined, then I have to buy another pump, which I've had to do twice already.
Right.
And it's just not worth it. It's not worth it.
Can I say just one thing?
Sure, go ahead, Ms.
When we're talking length and width ratios and things like that, we're not talking length and width ratios. We're talking 10 foot below the level of the highway, okay? I mean, we kind of gloss over, I mean, the
I
assessor
fully
kind of.
understand that. This property is not one of those properties along Pontchartrain Boulevard
No,
or Highway 11.
it's an area that was marshland, and we requested on the use evaluation sheet, there's a section there, correct me if I'm wrong, that you can click for brackish marsh. And that's what this property was, brackish marsh. And basically, the parish pumped it out, and then after Katrina, couldn't pump it out anymore, and they left. The area flooded. We pumped it out so it wouldn't affect the other property. So, I mean, the gentleman's right. We are far apart on this because we think it's worth $25,000 at the max, okay? And I think when we get an appraisal, I mean, it's going to reflect that. So, I don't know, you know, originally it was $335,000, I think. So it's like somebody just, you know, put a brush down Pontchartrain Drive and said everything is $4 a square foot, you know, and this is a different situation. But thank you for your courtesy.
Mr. Corbin, do you have any more questions?
Do you have any, are you guys, I guess I don't know what the next step is, candidly, because I'm not sure that I think this is almost like the zeros that we looked at a few minutes ago in terms of the value. And so there's a huge gap. I need to have a better understanding of what is a credible number that you guys are going to look for. I recognize, if I could just finish, next year, if you actually move and you take your pump off and you flood this land, the value may well go down again at that point in time. But right now, because you're pumping it out, there is some usable value to it. I'm not sure it's $25,000 is a reasonable or fair number at this stage. I'm not confident that it's the higher number either. So I'm asking for someplace to help. Yes, sir.
If I may interject, I'm willing to accept the $25,000 number based upon the new information we got here tonight that I wasn't
Very
privy
fair.
to. And which is what he asked. If he does turn the pumps off and the property floods and maintains water on it, then he can get a freshwater marsh designation, which would be basically by what he had before.
I think that's fair. I'm familiar with the property. I wouldn't pay $25,000 for it. So do y'all have to just do that? Do we have to do anything here, Barry, for that, or do y'all work that out?
We'll do it.
You have that, Troy?
So are y'all comfortable if the assessor's office gives you that $25,000 to withdraw your appeal to the Board of Review?
Yes.
Okay. So make sure that's on record.
Now, we have two pieces for Mr. Lemuel.
Yeah, the second piece, up until this year, is a lot right next to this property. If the pump's turned off, a portion of this floods as well. The elevation is not 10 feet below sea level. It's more like 5 feet. The valuation was $5,000. The assessor's office raised it to $88,000 and change this year. You know, we counted with $10,000, which is double what it was. So,
And that's also based on having to fill it to get the same use that of down the street. The property has to be raised. So
Your property is not the property down the street. I fully understand that.
yeah, you know, so, and that's why we said $10,000 is, you know, because when we turn the pumps off, half of that lot is going to be covered with water as well, you know, so.
Mr. Faust, take your time. Take your time. You can finish. Do y'all have some working room on this one?
I need to ask JB to give me a little background on how he came to that value and what the elevation may be.
The value is based on a $4.50 base value, minus 10% for location for being south of Salmon. And those are the only adjustments that we made. I didn't make any topography adjustments on this one because, in my opinion, this property didn't have the topography adjustments issues that the back piece did that surrounds it.
It's not quite as bad.
Do I think it's a foot or two lower in elevation? Yes.
Hold on, Mr. Corbin. I got you.
It's definitely
5 feet lower.
It's definitely significantly lower. It trails off. I mean, unfortunately, I'm very familiar with this property and the surrounding because the parish is working on drainage in that area, but not on this property.
With respect, I just wanted to ask one thing. Has anyone from the assessor's office actually walked this property?
No.
No.
I rest my case.
I can reinforce what they're saying to us. If you guys got some room on the second one too.
We'll give you all a minute to get that worked out, and then we're going to move on. In the meantime, while they're talking, I would like to tell you, number one, thank you all for your service in the military. But the homes you all do on Pontchartrain are really exceptionally beautiful. I mean, to me, it is reinvigorated that area, and every time I see one, it's
Well, thank you so much.
really very well done work.
And I love the crab claws and the...
Thank you, thank you.
And I don't really know if the surveyor is in relation to you. I mean, it's impostado name. I mean,
Distant cousin.
I mean, okay. We didn't plan it that way, but.
If we're at 88,000 and we offered 50, roughly half, since half the property floods, Would that be acceptable?
I'm sorry?
On the smaller piece that we're talking about now, the assessment number 127168, the one right next to your building?
Right.
If we lower that value from 88,209 to 50, would that be acceptable?
Yeah, I think so.
And you all can do that as well. Mr. David Lemuel, you want to grab us there? We want to let him know behind you this. The offer was.
I got the paperwork. Okay.
So are y'all officially withdrawing for the second parcel 127168?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
20,000 for the first.
Hold on.
Okay. 25 for the first.
Correct.
And 50,000 for the second.
Correct.
And thank you to the assessor.
Thank you all, gentlemen. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Who's next?
127168.
Thank you.
Second one. And the other one is the, these are the two assessments.
Christopher
So the other one's
Stosurge? Christopher Stosurge?
556.
Please step up to the podium, state your name. You have 5 minutes. And the
10 properties, so we need to see how JB wants.
Okay, so there's 10 properties. I just want to make sure everyone at home in the recording gets that. So do you want to do the Slidell LLC first? How do you want to handle?
There was talk about sending that straight to commission, which is what I would recommend. Obviously, the owner or the tax rep would have to agree to that. This is a very complex property. It's going to be quite some time, and I think when you see how low that we've gone, that we really can't go any lower.
Okay.
We are so far apart. I don't see any sort of negotiated settlement on this.
When you say this, one piece or all 10 together?
It's the six that are under Slidell LLC. Just to give you an idea, you know where the IHOP is in Slidell off I-12? Okay. There's a Academy of Sports.
Yes, I know exactly what you're talking
The
about.
building is everything encapsulating that whole center except for the Academy. So it's all that retail back there.
Okay.
And right now, he is asking for a value that's approximately 50% of our land value and 0 for all buildings. We would have to take all the buildings off the roll down to 0, and I would have to cut the land value in half.
Wait 1 second. I understand what you're saying, but we do have to formally have the appeal.
Okay, all right.
I'm with you. I
Okay.
promise.
So
But he does have a right to the appeal.
let's do that one first. It's on the list as being next. So
Can we get the paperwork on that one? I don't have it. Okay. State your name for the record. You have 5 minutes.
Christopher Stosurge. I'm here on behalf of Slidell LLC for the property that Mr. Powell so correctly described. Here, I think we had discussed potentially moving right to the tax commission, and I'm more of an optimist about settlement than Mr. Powell, but I think we do actually need, from a procedural perspective, I think we need a decision from this body to have a right to appeal. So I would like, obviously, I have my prayer at 2.6 million and change, and that's the number I would like. But regardless of the board's decision, I would like a decision so we have a procedural right and we don't accidentally waive that. Just a little bit about this property. I know I have 10 properties, but 6 of them are this, and so this is the main and the complicated one. This is really a question here of a income-based approach to valuation and what fair market use is. This is a rare circumstance here where we have a sale November 1st, 2024, and an arm's length sale at this $2,669,250 price. This is this LLC, this ownership group bought this in an arm's length transaction on the open market, and I thank the Board of Review for reviewing that definition of fair market value, which is what a willing buyer and a willing seller will transact for on the open market when it's exposed. And that is exactly what we have here. It's undisputed. This was exposed. Anyone in the world could have bought it. It was advertised online and marketed properly. And unfortunately, due to the condition of the property and particularly the vacancy, you had a much, much smaller valuation. We'll note here with this transaction, the ownership group that I represent does not own the Academy Sports itself. That is a separate parcel, and I think the parish will have the ability to tax that and the income that vibrant academy operates. But I've submitted to you a rent roll from just after the sale, which shows, I think it's 82% vacant in this parcel. So really just nothing, at least nothing compared to what it could be. I also have a document that I've never seen before in any one of these tax appeals, which is an affidavit of arm's length transaction. I think our ownership group knew that we've had a major issue here with what would hopefully be a turnaround property, and had this affidavit executed between the buyers and the seller's representatives, stating that this transaction was negotiated by unrelated parties with no prior relationship outside the transaction, or no side business proposals, and everyone acting in their own self-interest. So here, I mean, we can get appraisals of this property, obviously, but appraisals are a guess as to what the fair market value is. Here we have actual evidence, and we attach the closing statement to verify it, of what the fair market value is at the time. And I think the problem here is, you know, the assessor is right. This is a big reduction we're asking for. We don't take this lightly. But I will say that to the extent that this board chooses for at least this year to go with this $2.6 million valuation, that's going to be a shot in the arm for this property to allow redevelopment. To the extent you save the ownership group money here and they can reinvest and help turn this around, that's an economic development play by this board, and I think true to what the law says fair market value should be. And of course, you know, as I would imagine, Slidell LLC would much rather collect the rent and pay the taxes, you know, when they lease that property up, if they turn that around. We can hopefully transition this from a short blip in reduced tax revenue and reduced valuation into a much longer term situation where the parish benefits from improved occupancy and taxes, because, you know, these aren't one-year residential leases. If we get some major people in there, like Academy, you're there for years and years and years. So what we're really asking here is to go with what the market says. We've got uncontradicted evidence of what the market says, and I think from a, to the extent this body is considering the politics of it, I think that this ability to help redevelopment of this property would be absolutely the right decision for the parish. Thank you.
Okay, I see we have, you have 5 minutes.
Okay, let's start out with, did we hand out? No.
You should call the city of Slidell. They might be interested. Just joking, just joking.
All right, I'd like to bring your attention to page 3 so we can look at a plat map. This is a complicated set of properties and they're all adjacent, but they kind of have to be looked at as a whole so you can understand the request. So if you're looking at the plat map, the one to the far bottom left, if you turn it sideways like this, starting from left to right, the small building closest to I-12, that was the former David's Bridal building. So that piece has had, it's either completely vacant or has been mostly vacant for several years. And then moving to the right, the former Target, that's been vacant for several years. And then moving to the right, that's the Party City and several other smaller retail. A lot of that's been vacant for several years. All of those three are included in this. The next building, the fourth one over, that is the Academy. That is not part of this. And then moving to the right, the little retail facing Airport Road, 92402. That parcel, along with the two parcels north and south of it that are basically driveways. All of these parcels are included in this. Now, what we did to value this property is we have these sites valued between $4 and $5 a foot, which is what all the land in this area is valued at. For retail of this nature and age, we start off with a base value of $70 per square foot. And then we use a depreciation that's somewhere about half of what its actual age is. So what we did on these properties, all these properties based on their age should be at about 12% depreciation. And I'm going to show some comparable properties after this so you'll better understand this. But what we added to these properties, the 1, 2, 3 from the bottom left to the Target to the Party City, those are the ones that have the serious vacancy issues. We took an additional 60% off of the 12% reduction for the buildings only to prove it as vacant. And that's pretty similar to what we do for vacant space. We'll basically value it at half price temporarily until it gets filled. I mean, there's no rule that says we have to do that, but it's the right thing to do. You know, it's vacant, there's not enough money coming in. But if you value a property that's occupied, say 10%, and you do an income approach, you're going to come up with a value that's less than 0. So you can't just do an income approach and value it that way. An empty building has some value, although it should be discounted. But the important thing I wanted to show is that we took an additional 60% off for the vacancy issue, assuming all those 3 buildings were completely vacant. I don't know if it has 1 or 2 tenants in it, not sure. We're calling it 100% vacant, just for good measure. The retail facing Airport Road, to our knowledge, has not had any vacancy issues going back 10 years. You know, I've been dealing with reviews from this property for 15. So, you know, they always include them all together, but to my knowledge, the front piece facing airports never had any real vacancy issues. We did not offer a 60% reduction on that Airport Road piece for that reason. So, if you go to page 4, just so you can look at some recent photographs so you can kind of understand what we're looking at. The pictures kind of go in order from the map that I laid out to you before, left to right. So the David's Bridal would be that small piece facing I-12. The picture underneath that would be the Target, which is empty. Next over, Party City. And then on page 5, the bottom photograph, that's the building that's facing Airport Road that doesn't have any vacancy issues to our knowledge. So page 8, the point that I'm trying to make here is that the value that they are requesting is approximately 50% of the land value. And in order to do that, I have to show you what some of the land comparables in the area are selling for. If you go south on Airport Road, right in front of the old North Shore Square Mall, there's a Raising Cane site. That sold for $18 a square foot. I understand it's a small fast food site. They tend to sell.
We have to stop, so your time ran out, so we have to go to let him rebut, and we'll come back to you again.
Okay.
Oops, sorry.
That's okay. Thank you.
I'm going to beat you with the chair.
I thank Mr. Powell for these, and I presume these comps are right, although I haven't seen this document before right now. Again, I would say that I listened closely to the argument, and I think the argument from Mr. Powell's side is, hey, I used to assess it at this, and I'm discounting off of what I used to assess it at, which is good for a continuity argument. But again, here I think we've got the applicable question is, what is the fair market value? We have direct evidence on that, and nothing that I heard from Mr. Powell here is anything about fair market value. It's, hey, I used to assess it at this, and I don't want to back off of that. I'm sure that the previous owners would have rather that they sold it for more, you know, millions of dollars more, but they didn't. And that's where we're at on it. And again, of course, to the extent you have a subject site with land that has a Raising Cane's on it, that's incredibly useful for everyone. And so we would argue that that was not comparable. And again, Mr. Powell's free to come back here next year, you know, if we can get this leased up and then return the assessment and get a lot more tax return. Here we've got this situation, we've got massive vacancy, we've got to execute a turnaround plan, and the tax load, if it's just overvalued, is just crushing. Thank you. Oh,
Thank you. Do we still have the rebuttal time for the assessors? Mr. Powell, do you have your 3 minutes?
Where I left off was land comparables. Comparable 2 is a similar site along the Gauls West area, $7.40. Comparable 5, that's the Raising Cane site. I get it, it's much smaller, it's $18 a foot, but it's still close by. Comparable 1 is a similar site. It's got visibility from 12, it's on a service road, sold for $7.05. Comparable 3, it's on Lindbergh, it's a service road, visibility from I-12, it's sold for $10.79. And comparable, oh, that's all, sorry. So those are the land comparables, and remember, we have the land valued at between $5 and $6 a foot with size adjustments built in. So one of the things I did was, I put all the information together to figure out what we would have to do to the value to get to the requested price. And if you look at page 15, the requested value was $2,669,250. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. The land value that we have on the roll right now is $4,622,587. Like I said, we would have to cut the land value in half, and we would have to bring the building values down to 0. What?
You can speak, Mr. Faust. Hold on, I'm gonna keep it on, so at any time you want to interject during your...
I think what we'd really like to do is send this to Tax Commission, let some experts look at this. There's no way the assessor is going to take buildings completely off the roll and have people go on our website and say, what the hell you doing? I'm going to congratulate these guys on getting a hell of a deal. But we're not going to take the buildings off the roll. We're not going to cut the land in half. We do that, ladies and gentlemen, we got to go through that whole area of Slidell and reduce land values, because everybody will be in here asking why am I 4 and they at 2. Just can't do it.
Understood.
We got to have some cover. Let the Tax Commission give us all some cover.
Understood. Was there anything else? And your rebuttal period was already over with, correct? Okay, bring back to the commission. Mr. Smith?
Yeah. As JP started this, he opened up with the comment that he had hoped that this goes to the state commissioner. The process would be us having to agree with one of you two. The other one would then have the opportunity to make the appeal to the state, right? Is there a better way of doing this? In other words, will they be charging the assessor's office for an appeal at the state? No? Would they charge you for an appeal at the state? No? So I'm going to make a motion that I agree with, what's your name again? I forgot. I'm sorry.
Christopher Stowe Search.
I'm going to agree with Christopher. And I would like to make the motion that we uphold his appeal at this time.
And do you mind, let's just make this clear. This is for all 6 of these appeals.
It's complicated, and both parties are making great
I would like to suggest respectfully suggest
Okay.
to uphold the assessors.
Hold on, let Matt, hold on, I'm sorry. I thought we were talking about, we just couldn't hear you. Mr. Faust, say it one more time.
Say it again.
Okay. What I would ask of you guys is uphold the assessors of value, which is a reduction, and let them appeal to the tax commission.
I would think that would be a better idea.
Okay, and I don't think it really makes a big difference one way or the other. I believe you still have the opportunity to go there with the appeal, right?
Yeah.
Yes, I'd like your comment.
I didn't want to interrupt. Obviously, I think our clients would prefer that you accepted our value and then we could appeal. But putting that to aside, I do think this body has the ability to put a valuation at 3 or 4 million, and then I could take the appeal from there. But either way, we could take the appeal. We just do need a decision from this body.
Both made great arguments, so
going to be on the record.
For the record, I would like to make a motion that we, I think you get more clout than an individual, that we uphold the appellant's request.
Thank you.
Okay, hold on.
Before we go, Ashley,
So,
Hold on.
Wait,
There's a pending motion.
Everybody, hold on.
I just have a question.
Gonzalez.
So if you do that, you have 6 different assessments, appeals that we're looking at. You would need a
Combined.
value on each. I would need a value of what you're decreasing those on each one of those forms. So if you just affirm with the assessor, it makes the process simpler and it still can go to the tax commission. Otherwise, if you're going to decrease, you're going to have to
We
make
would
a
have to
decrease
do
on
6
each.
different.
You're going to have to allocate land
I
sales
would
and
like to
building
amend, I
sales.
would like to amend my motion. I would like to make a motion that we deny the appeal and we agree with the assessor.
I'll second that.
Motion and second. Now we have Mr. Bender.
No, I was just going to say that I think what Rick just changed
This is a good change.
is the best way. Because I think you did a great job for your client.
Thank you.
But I just don't think we have enough information to say that you're right.
I don't know if we're here.
With 6 properties,
I don't know if we're here.
they've assessed it, let it go to the tax commission for them.
Sounds good. So we have a motion and a second. Mr. Smith, how do you vote?
Yes.
Ms. Kazenbaum?
Yes.
Mr. Corbin?
Yes.
Mr. Burke?
Yes.
Mr. Bender?
Yes.
Ms. O'Brien?
And we need your vote.
I vote yes.
Motion passes.
For the record, we would like to make an appeal, and we will do that accordingly. Thank you.
Good deal.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
Is that it?
No.
Just a minute,
Anybody
Brad.
else in the audience?
It's
Just a minute,
He's
please.
representing other companies.
Oh. So next is Huana Lake Group? Or does it matter which one we do?
Okay.
You know the rules, restate your name for the record and the case, and then proceed.
Everyone.
Well, we're ready, sir. You can proceed, please.
Christopher Stowe Surge, on behalf of the Huana Lake Group. This is assessment number 85366 for the real estate and assessment 9010069 on personal property. The subject property is a Holiday Inn at 372 Voters Road in Slidell. On this property, we've got a situation where we again have top of market purchase several years ago. I think it was at $5 million, but again, that was sort of peak COVID travel boom purchase. We have a 2023 tax return in the record that I discussed with Mr. Powell about by email, and it took me a second to get the information from the client, but I think that's a very relevant document because we do not have, this is a mom and pop ownership situation, we do not have a 2024 tax return. Those aren't actually due till the 15th of October, and so I think they've got the extension filed and we put that in the record. So we've got a 2023 tax return, and we've got a income so far this year management flash report, which is from the Holiday Inn. Now, the assessor's office would argue that that's not sufficiently reliable. I would submit to you that it's a usual business record that is, at least within the context of the Administrative Procedures Act, sufficiently reliable for you in this context. The 2023 tax return is shows a valuation up top of just over $2 million. However, what that does, and Mr. Powell here applied a 10.5% cap rate to it to get a valuation where he thought the valuation should actually go up on that. What I did, my argument to Mr. Powell was, let's back out the one-time COVID funds because that came from the government and that had nothing to do with the property. Let's take out the $33,000 in interest that they happened to earn because they put some deposits in the bank back then. And if you get that, you get a number closer to 1.7 million and a value indicated based on that 2023 tax return at the value on that is going to be $4,050,000 if you do the cap rate as he proposes in the 3 millions if you go to the 11.5 that Mr. Powell says is in range. The trouble we're facing with this property is we're at 2025 and it is hemorrhaging money. If we look at our cash flow, we're down from top line 2.7 to a projected here at 1,500,015. At that point, at a cap rate valuation, if the profitability stays the same, we're looking at something in the mid threes. The issue we're having here is that we would love to negotiate with the assessor a one-time reasonable reduction for this year. However, because the 25 numbers are not set yet and they're coming in so poorly, we cannot get a decision out of this board because if we get a decision from you, then it's locked in for the rest of the quadrennial cycle, and we'll need to come back here next year because the numbers are that bad. We would love it if the assessor in good faith would work with us on a negotiated resolution to allow us to withdraw this appeal, but the 2025 numbers, and I can submit to you where we're going so far, you've got here a lack of travel. You've got here, they actually cater to a lot of people who are working Hurricane Ida and related hurricane repairs who are staying there, so occupancy is down. And we have condition issues to the property, which we've documented. So I would submit that we would love to work with the assessor here in good faith to get a one-time reduction in the funds for this year, but otherwise, if we can't do that, we're going to have to withdraw.
Okay.
Thank you. And that's just a procedural nuance because next year's going to be so bad.
Mr. Powell, do you have 5 minutes? Actually, while we're sitting.
Yes, this, the value that we have on this property before the review was $4,863,375. I would like to point out that this property in 2018 did sell for $5,870,000. So our current value is a good million below what it sold for back in 2018. So we're in the right ballpark in terms of value. This property is one of the few properties that Mr. Stowe did furnish us with a 2024 tax return. From what I understand,
23.
The data you sent from me was for 2024 tax return. I did the income approach, and I came out with $6,645,000, and that was a 2024 tax return. So I'm confused. I did receive a 2023 tax return this morning in an email, but I had received a 2024 tax return prior to this, and that's how I came up with the value that I have in my packet. Did we pass those out? Matt's slipping. Here we go, Matt. Okay.
That's what you sent me.
So if you go to page 5 of this, you can see the income approach that I used. And again, what I have on here is 2024 tax return. So do I have the tax return with me? No, but I could pull it up in an email if I needed to. But basically, I did an income approach based on the 2024 tax return. I did the normal add backs for income approach purposes. The interest, the taxes, the depreciation, and the amortization all need to be added back for cash flow. And then we're using a cap rate. It's a going-in cap rate, which is for a tier 3 hotel that's as worse as it gets. It's for dated properties and not so nice locations. And then we add the effective tax rate at 2%, so for a total loaded cap of 12.5. These are tax commission cap rates. I actually have a table in here, which is the next page, which is a service that they use, and we adopted their service about a decade ago because they have specific building types. And based on age and building types, they have preferred cap rates. And I find them to be very close to perfect, you know, coming from the private world. So I do like to have a cap rate table that everyone can, you know, be forced to use, because the cap rate discussion can be a long one. I mean, that's an hour or two, and it gets nowhere. These are very conservative rates, and I think they're fair. But either way, the income approach I'm coming up with is $6,645,000. And remember, this property did sell for $5,800,000 about 5 years ago. So, you know, my income approach based on this number is real close to what it sold for 5 years ago.
Do you have the 2024 tax return here?
I'm sorry?
Do you have the 2024
I
tax
do not
return?
have the return, but on my sheet here, it says the information came from the 2024 return, and I remember putting it together. So I'm confused about what Mr. Stowe says about not having 2024.
So am I.
So I can't answer that. As far as the you know, the income approach, I understand where he's coming from. If we just remove some of the income and do an income approach, it'll be just fine, but we can't really do that. You kind of have to value all the income to get an accurate income approach. This property, I mean, we're planning on increasing it next year. So, you know, to reduce it this year would be unfair.
Okay. Mr. Christopher?
Yes, I do not recall there being a 2024 tax return. I saw a preliminary tax return that was unsigned, and I did not submit it to the office because I wanted to make sure that we're only submitting sort of official documents. The management flash for 2025, I submitted to him this morning. I sent him a follow-up letter. I will say that this value here is higher than the value he had sent me previously, which I got from him in an email Wednesday, September 17th at 11:48 a.m. The value here, sorry, that is the value. Yeah. So that I am almost certain that he's using the 2023 tax return, but it's of no monument. I think that if you take out, if from this calculation, you'll see here on page 5 of what he handed you, $2,080,000. If you took out the COVID funds here of, hold on a second. When you take out the COVID funds of over $250,000 and $33,000 of interest expenses, which are on that tax return, and which is Exhibit G from me, you'll get a much lower valuation at that $4 million range. So I think it's the question on this page on 5 is just simply, do you accept that there's $33,868 in interest that shouldn't count, and $292,498. Those are lines 5 and 10 on the 2023 tax return, Exhibit G. If you take those out, you get a valuation that's closer to $4,051,000. Again, because our numbers are coming in so much lower here in 2025, we've got to rely on negotiation with the assessor in good faith, because we've got to come back here next year because the lower numbers will support a lower valuation next year. And I would love encouragement from the board for further negotiations.
Okay. Mr. Powell, you have 3 minutes if you want to rebut anything. Or?
I mean, does anyone have any questions? I mean, this is the dispute between whether or not we can use all the income that a property generates or not. Okay. I've never, you know, I've been appraising properties a long time. I've never heard of, oh, well, you can't use this income, but you can use that. And, you know, it's income generating property. If you want to value it properly, you have to take into account all the income. And like I said, our number is very close to what it sold for previous. The number that the tax rep is asking for is almost 50% of a sale from 5 years ago. It just doesn't smell right to me.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, sir. You may not. Mr. Smith, you are.
Jerry.
3 taps.
I was checking. Mr. Stowe, you're suggesting that they take out what? A one-time payment for COVID, was it?
So there is, on the 2023 tax return, there is what's called an ERC credit. That is essentially the payroll protection program. That was a one-time tax bonus. It's basically like the stimulus check that individuals got, but for businesses.
COVID-related.
Yeah. But that has nothing to do with the operation of the property, and no buyer in the world would bank on COVID
How did they determine that amount of money? Wouldn't that have been based on
lost income
potential, or?
I think it may have been based on how much money they were paying in salaries, but I don't know.
Okay. No further questions.
Mr. Corbin?
Yeah, Mr. Powell, I'm looking at the numbers that Mr. Stowe is referencing, and it looks like those are from the 2023 tax form. Is it possible that you wrote a note of 2024, assuming you had a 2024 tax form, and you're actually using this 2023 that's been provided to us? Because it has both of the line items he references and the amounts he references are from the 2023 form.
I'd have to look at it to tell you. I mean, I can probably pull it up, but it's going to take me more than a couple of minutes. Is it possible? Yes. I mean, I had a lot of things going on, but
I understand that. That's
I'd have to look it up. But I mean, if that is the case, then that means it puts us in the same boat. Okay, so we're not looking at 2024 because it's not filed, which confused me, but suppose I did put 2024 a mistake here and it's 2023, we would be in the exact same boat. Because that would be us relying on 2023 info for the value today, which sometimes we do that in lieu of a tax return that's not filed.
But if you were going to rely on 2023 on a tax return that's filed, would you not remove one-time revenue that has nothing, that's not related to the operation?
My understanding that
I'm just not quite finished.
Oh.
Okay. This would seem to be if there were specific programs that this was tied to. So it would not be, I wouldn't consider this ongoing income or revenue producing. We face that in the council on a variety of things where we're trying to find recurring revenue versus one-time revenue. So if you were going to use this, would it not be reasonable that if you have to go back to 23 that you would take those two numbers out in your calculation? Now, I'm also then assuming that Mr. Stowe's math is right as what the income value would be. I'm just asking that question.
My opinion would be no, because most of those are payments in lieu of lost income. Now, maybe it is perhaps based on payroll, but it's about, those COVID payments were about lost income. Okay. So if they're replacing lost income, that which was taxable, then why would a replacement for that income not be taxable? I don't understand the point. Right? It was a unique circumstance. They made less money. The government cut them a check to offset them, make them whole again. Puts you in the same boat. Either they would have made the revenue or the government covered it. Are you not in the same place you were before?
Okay.
Mr. Burke?
Yeah, I just want to, I do know a little bit about this ERC program, and this was not for lost income. It was to continue to make payroll if, in fact, you did lose income. I have a question to the gentleman there. Sometimes those things were also, you had to pay them back. You know, some of those were loans. They were, so my question is, did you have to pay those back? Those funds back that you had?
That is a good question. I do not know the answer to that question, unfortunately.
And some of them were granted and some of them were not. But I know that specifically for that particular program, I would have to agree with my colleague here, Mr. Corbin, that that's one-time things, and they were one-time funds, and I feel like in your calculations you should back that out, because that's not normal income. That's something, when we experienced the COVID, everybody had different challenges, and one of the things the government did was they issued this program to make sure that we're not laying people off in the fact, in the case that we did lose income. But it wasn't because we lost income, it was to make sure we continue to keep people working.
I would add, to supplement my answer here, that the ERC stands for Employee Retention Credit,
exactly.
Which I cited the IRS reg on it, and the IRS page on it says that it relates to, it's for organizations that, quote, had employees that were affected during the COVID-19 pandemic.
Right.
And again, I think there's a lot of nuances to any individual ones that I don't have detail on here. I would submit that 2023 is relevant because the date we're looking for is what was valued in 2023. And so we know in 2023 interest rates had doubled as opposed to 2018 when they were essentially half that, which affects value, particularly in commercial property. Thank you.
Right. Yep. That's it.
Okay. Any other comments? Do we have a motion from anyone? Mr. Corbin?
So I do have another question. Mr. Stowe, you're asking, what is it you're asking for?
I would love to reach a settlement for just this 1 year with the assessor if that was possible. In the alternative, if that's not possible, I do need to withdraw this appeal.
Okay.
This is the opposite of the last one. I need there to not be a decision from this board because it'll stick for next year.
Right.
When things are worse.
Okay.
But I thank you for your time.
Ms. Kazenbaum?
So we're saying that if we are going to concur with the assessors?
No.
No?
No.
No. This is where it gets confusing.
Well, you don't have to listen to him. We can do it.
No.
I think I do
just
have
want to know if he doesn't want to appeal it, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So if we agree with the assessors, it's over. Yeah.
I think that from a technical perspective, I would submit that I have a right to withdraw the appeal.
You have a right to withdraw it.
And I would exercise that right absent some good faith negotiations.
Is there any opportunity for good faith negotiations?
Well, the income approach I'm coming up with is a good million above where we are at now. From my point of view, we've already negotiated.
Okay.
By
So
not
you would
raising
like to
it.
withdraw your appeal?
All right.
I have a question. Is this on both assessments? Both of you?
Yes.
On both appeals.
So the Huana Lake
Correct.
and the Holiday Inn?
Oh, sorry. No, Huana Lake has a real estate and personal property assessment appeal, so two different.
So not that one?
Both being withdrawn. Yes.
So is that, can you give me the assessment numbers?
Yes. I think I read it into the record.
The real property is 85366.
And then 901-0069? Yeah, that's the personal property. And that's under Holiday Inn?
Yeah. Have your client filed a LAT? We could work with you. They haven't filed a LAT in 7 years.
They're figuring out how to do it.
Okay, okay.
But they may call you for technical assistance.
Yeah, we'll help you. If you just file a LAT and it's probably a mess, we'll help you. That's not off the table. We just need a LAT, okay?
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Okay, so which ones are you formally withdrawing and actually have the assessment numbers? Are we all good?
Yes.
So tell me which ones I can scratch off the list.
85366
Okay.
and 901-0069.
Chris, you can just still submit, regardless of the appeals, submit the LAT, and we'll work with you.
And he is going to withdraw and file this information with the assessor.
So there's no action by this board.
Correct.
Okay, next we have THF 61864 Highway 434 LLC.
Again?
Long time no see. State your name yet again and proceed. You know the rules.
Christopher Stosurge, representing here THC 6186 for Highway 434 LLC, assessment number 12104194443. In this is a situation where it is a self-storage unit. New ownership here. Would like a reduction in value. Current valuation from the assessor tops out at $550,000 with land value at $49,530 and improvement value at $500,470 to get the even number. I submitted as Exhibit A property condition photos showing unpaved roads, broken lights, microbial growth on the exterior of these basically steel storage sheds. Importantly here, and why I think that this appeal was worthwhile to do, is, again, I think this is here that there's essentially net operating income that's going to be about $11,000 if we're on track for this year with first year with this ownership group. That would, at any reasonable cap rate, would be about $145 total value. Again, I think the assessor will object that that is a severe diminishment from what he assessed previously. I would submit that to the extent the income approach is appropriate here, these are the incomes, and unfortunately, it's just not producing the income that people thought. And to the extent that that is sort of confirmed by the poor condition of the property, I think that's relevant to the conversation too. Thank you.
What do they pay for it?
I think our client hasn't disclosed the amount they paid for it. I think they have $1,000 on the rolls, but they would submit that the relevant valuation is the 2023 valuation. So,
okay, Mr. Powell, you have 5 minutes.
Yes. This is another property where I had asked for information and did not receive it. I understand that there was a purchase price. The purchase price said $1,000. We're having an issue in St. Tammany, and it's getting worse by the year. Part of my job as an appraiser is I have to look at every commercial sale that comes through land records. We call it permits and transfers. I spend about the first 6 months out of every year that's what I'm working on, all the permits and all the transfers. And 15 years ago, I might get $1 or $2 $100 sales or $1,000 sales. Now it's like 50 out of 200. It's like 25% of my total sales. We are a disclosure state. It's not legal. What I'm learning is it doesn't really matter what's legal if no one's willing to enforce it. We are willing to enforce it. The information I asked for was what the true sales price was. The only information that I could find, if we can pull it up on the overhead, there was an MLS listing, and that's just part of what I look at when I value all property. What's been out there on MLS? So there was a listing this year for $600,000, and then it was withdrawn 12 days later, and then shortly after that we get a sale price for $1,000. So something doesn't feel right about this property. All right, now the MLS listing says that it was 40% vacant at the time of sale. So yes, it's having vacancy issues. No, I don't think it sold for $1,000. So what I asked for, I said we're willing to work with you. Our value was $550,000, and then usually if I have a list price, I go a little bit below the list price without any other data, and I'm usually pretty close to right. We are willing to look at additional information, but we will not move forward unless we get the actual sales price.
Can I'm very familiar with this property. I'm very familiar with this area. It's about an acre. Is that accurate?
Yeah.
It's not worth $500,000. It's probably worth about $3. I don't know if you have some flexibility to get to that level, but $250,000 to $300,000 is about a fair price for it.
I could see that happening, but I have a problem reducing something based on deception. And that's where we're at.
I'm not arguing with you on that. I don't know how much we take that into consideration here, but I can tell you this from common sense and understanding the area and the market, it's worth no more than $300,000. It's definitely not worth $500,000.
That doesn't surprise me to hear at all. You know what? There's a reason why I shot high. I want the sales price because I want the data. We need that as a comp. Mini storages are a big deal in St. Tammany, and this is kind of a Class D mini storages. I don't have a lot of comps on these.
Is there a problem disclosing the sales price? I mean, what is that? Matter of national security? Just disclose the sales price. Really? What's the issue? Let's make it real simple.
I don't have it today. I apologize.
I mean, if this goes to tax commission, we have the right to subpoena that information, and if that's where this needs to go, then fine. At the end of the day, all I want is the comp. I care more about the comp than I care about the 550.
Is that something you can give?
Not at this hearing, unfortunately.
I mean, in the next, before the 30 days pass, I mean, we were still willing to work with you in making a change if you can give us the data to justify making a change.
I don't want to promise it because I just don't have it, but I think a valuation somewhere in the 300,000 range would be very much appreciated. And then if they feel like that's not justified, they can absolutely appeal.
I would tell you this, based on me knowing how they assess things in our area, you'd probably have a lower evaluation if you just got them the information they were looking for. I mean, this feels like a waste of our time. I don't know why we're even discussing this, but I have a board lit up. I don't think we need to go back and forth on it anymore, Mr. Bender.
No, Mr. Chairman, I was just going to say, from driving that area from time to time, I agree with you. I don't think it's worth more than $250 to $300. I mean, that's it.
I'm not disagreeing with you, but I would like to know additional comparable information. That's the most important piece of information here. It had a vacancy issue at the time of sale. We're discussing the fair market value. The most relevant question is, what did it sell for? And that's the only thing that the owner won't answer. So I have a problem with that.
So if you withdraw this, can you all work this out when he gets you the actual purchase price of the property? There's still time to get a lower. Is that reasonable?
And if it ends up being 300, that doesn't seem unreasonable.
I agree.
I would submit that with the 30 days, that if we could have a decision from this board, we would then resolve it. Not appeal or appeal, depending, but would like a decision from this board on value.
Well, we won't have the comparable information that we need if you give him the value he wants, because he has no reason to give us the sale price. His deception will have worked. I don't like that.
Mr. Burke and then Mr. Smith.
So what we're saying is that we have to know what he paid for it before we can put a value on it? Because this wouldn't work in Mississippi because Mississippi is a non-disclosure state.
Right, but we are a disclosure state. We're not
Right,
Mississippi.
but how do appraisers evaluate property in Mississippi when they don't have the sale prices?
I don't know. I don't value in Mississippi for that reason.
I understand, but my question is that, you know, why do we need to know what he paid for it? Don't we have prior sales that we can go off of and also comparable things in there?
Well, we have values set for Class C and D and B mini storage properties. You know those, excuse me, those 3-story buildings that they're building all over now. They just built one on Lindbergh. They're massive complexes. You know, I have those between $6 and $10 million. The building value per square foot is $60 on those because that's a little less than what it costs to build them. Some of that is an income approach, and we come up with $60 a square foot on the nice, you know, finished mini storages. On these, the Class Ds, as I call them, roll-up doors, old, 20, 30 years old, usually somewhere between $20 and $30 a square foot is where they're valued. Right now, our value is about $33.16 a foot. If you look at the building on a net basis, that's value we have on the roll. So we're right in line with the other Class D mini storages. That's not unreasonable. But like I said, I mean, we use comparable sales to put into averages to get accurate data and have fair assessments. I care much more about the comparable than I do this value on this assessment.
I guess my point was just, what if they pay way less and got a heck of a deal for it? Would it still lower the value?
Well, if they paid, let's just say that sale price came in at $300. I would expect our value to be somewhere between $250 and $280.
What if it came in at 100? So I think Mr. Burke's asking.
Now that's a problem.
Well,
here's the thing, okay? If it's 20% full, according to the MLS at the time of listing, it was 60% full. All right, but let's just say it's 10% full, and you do the income approach based on the income that's coming in. Well, you're valuing 10% of the property, and what are you not doing? You're not valuing 90% of the property. That's like saying a new house that's built that's unoccupied is worth 0. It's not true. So the true answer is somewhere in the middle. It should be a discounted value if it's high vacancy. But still, we start with the sale price and then analyze it and compare it to other sales.
Yeah,
Without having that data, that's a problem. And I mean, you know, and it's not right. It's not honest. It's not even legal. There's just no one to enforce it.
Oh, I understand, but then again, another scenario I would bring up would be, what if someone donated that to them? How would you value it then?
Well, that's not an arm's length transaction.
Right.
It's not a market value. And the comptroller of the U.S. Treasury determines what's market value. It's buyer and seller have their own objectives. It has to be listed for a certain amount of time. It has to be marketed properly, and it has to be in U.S. dollars. So a donation doesn't count.
Okay.
It wouldn't be a qualified sale.
Same as a divorce, a split between a husband and wife, you know. So that one transfers it to the other for half value. That's not a good sale. We have to evaluate these sales, validate them as they call it. So, again, I just have a problem reducing it with the dishonesty. That's where it starts.
You know, we've had legal counsel here all evening, and as soon as they leave, this is the first time we've needed legal counsel to answer a question. I genuinely don't know if we can take, I understand your point, and I'd be frustrated as well, and I do think it's, I know it wasn't you that did that, or I assume it's not, but it's certainly inappropriate, and it would have made it a lot easier to come to a conclusion on the value of the property, understanding what it sold for. I don't like the fact that we're in this situation, but I firmly believe it's worth no more than $300,000, probably closer to $250,000. So, are there any motions? I mean, how do we want to handle this?
I'll make a motion.
Mr. Bender?
There we go, Rick.
3 times.
I mean, the assessor makes a good point, you know. But I think this gentleman is very professional and knows what he needs to get something approved. I'm not asking him a question, but I have to believe that you, Christian, representing this client, must know, and therefore that tells me the client is not giving him what he needs in order to negotiate with the assessor. So my motion would be to go with the assessors and then let them take it to the tax commission or provide the assessor, Christian, with the what he needs. So, you know, he possibly could bring it down to 300,000. That's what you're hearing. But for me to make a motion to go for 145,000, no, I'll make the motion to go for the assessor's value.
I'll second that.
Motion and a second. Any more discussion?
Yay. You got something to say?
I'd like to add one thing. What if this property shows that we need to come down on our values on Class D mini storages? What if a low sale price actually helps the other taxpayers because it goes into the average? There's two sides to look at this. We're not just trying to get it up, but if we're too high, we want to know that too.
I would like to understand this at a later time, what we need to do, or what we could do to help avoid these type of situations. I do feel you're right. It's dishonest and it's deceptive, and it's something that shouldn't happen. But we have a motion and a second. Let's vote. Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Kaiser-Bourne?
Yes.
No. Mr. Corbin?
Yes.
Mr. Burke?
No.
Mr. Bender?
Yes.
Ms. O'Brien?
Yes.
All right, motion carries. What is our next case?
SSP Hospitality, Days Inn.
Last one.
All right, Mr. Stowers, please state your name once again, and you have 5 minutes. Proceed, sir.
Christopher Stowe Surge, here on behalf of SSP Hospitality LLC, assessment number 84944. It is a Days Inn property at 58512 Tyler Drive, Slidell. The assessor has it at $1,157,000 in 2024. That jumped in 2025 to $1,437,000. The requested valuation is right there in the middle at $1,225,000. Again here, this is sort of a economy hotel. Condition issues, we attached an entire official Days Inn by Wyndham quality assurance property. This is the corporate flag that comes out and inspects the property. We note here that we've got a cracked parking lot. We've got multiple issues with bathrooms that need to be redone, and basically just an aged property, but an economy hotel is what we're looking at here. Most importantly here is the income approach. We've got NOI so far in 2025 of 148,885. Net operating income. So net operating income times whatever the cap rate is going to get you your valuation. Unfortunately here we've got, and I point this out in my letter, $30,000 tax bill, $70,000 insurance bill, $10,000 in franchise fees. It's going to basically obliterate the operating income on this one. Again, I think the assessor's right that the evaluation when the operating income in one particular year, the assessed value is not zero, but certainly the increase by $300,000 is not justified either. So we would respectfully submit that given the condition issues, the lower operating income, that a reduction in the assessment value is appropriate. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Powell?
Well, to start with, we did not receive a review on this property for this year. Generally, we're not supposed to hear those in this room. We didn't receive an appeal, any sort of review from the owner this year on this property for the office. I don't have any data on it. I do have a sale price from 2021 for $1,825,000. Our current value is $1,437,986. I have spoken to this woman several years prior to now. We've done income approaches on her property more than once in the past, and each time I came in at a higher value than what was on the roll. Again, I didn't have any information on this. I don't have a tax return. I don't have a review. As far as I'm concerned, it shouldn't even be heard tonight, but that is not up to me.
I don't decide what's heard. You finished with your allotted time?
Unless you have questions, but I don't have a packet
Was this not filed appropriately, Mary, or is it, why would it not?
So, I mean, they file with us. They say they didn't file with them, so it's.
I didn't get a review this
It
year.
hasn't been presented to you all.
That's correct.
It's got to be presented to you before it comes to us.
It should. We're
Why
going to
are you
make
shaking your
95%
head
of
no?
them go away, so why not start with us?
Why you, Christopher, why are you shaking your head no?
So I think that the answer to that question, that's a very important question on this one, because if there's a sort of jurisdictional issue for you guys, right, you can't consider it. I looked, I can't find any basis that would allow the assessor's office legally to preclude this property owner from filing for this board of review. I think that under the law, they've got a right to seek review from you. The best practice is certainly to get with the assessor during the open enrolled period, and you have the ability to inspect, and that makes everything more efficient.
Right.
Unfortunately, they contacted me late. I said, let's submit the income, let's submit the conditions, see what we can do. But I do think we have a right to be here on this one.
Well, I would like to make a motion. They may have the right to do it, but I like the process, the way it was set up. It goes before the assessor. The assessor gets a chance to negotiate. You have the right to appeal any negotiation if that nothing took place. Then it's presented to us. So with that being said, I would like to make a motion to uphold the assessor's assessment.
Mr. Smith, fine with that. I did have is there any chance for y'all to try to review it in this period of time?
If we get a 2024 tax, I mean, it should be too late, but we have time to make reductions. If we get the data we need, which is a full 2024 tax return, and yes, we will be using all the income, not portions of it, I'll rework it, and then we'll recalculate. I don't know where it's going to land, but, you know, all I can do is try.
But just know that it can't be appealed to us after
Understood.
tomorrow.
So I did just reach out to our other legal counsel to ask him to come. I want to make sure if he has a right to an appeal that we hear it. Although I still think your motion would be appropriate. I just want to make sure that
If he makes the motion and y'all pass that motion to uphold the assessor's value, he will still have the right to appeal to the Tax Commission at the state.
I mean, he has a right to be heard by this board.
No, because he would have already been
right
heard
now.
by this board. His only other option after today is the tax commissioner at the state.
I understood.
Make a decision today.
If we make a
Right,
decision.
they hadn't had it.
I understood, but Mr. Smith said his motion was based on the fact that the assessor's office has not had a chance to review. Is that correct? So
My motion would be to agree with the assessor's assessment at this point. I do understand that you hadn't had a chance to really present your facts to them, so they really hadn't had a chance to sit down and see if there would be an equitable negotiation. So with that said, judging based on what's in front of me today, I would make the motion to agree with the assessor as they stand now, their assessment. You, on the other hand, do have a chance to go to state with an appeal. I would recommend you bring the sales price.
okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second? What's the status?
He's already left. I can go call him if you want.
No, I mean, yeah.
We made the
Yes, that's
decision.
it.
Mr. Bender?
Yes, sir. Obviously, I'm not an attorney, okay? But you said this early, you know, when you first started talking about, I have a concern because I don't believe that every homeowner and the assessors can tell me if I'm wrong. I don't believe that every business and every homeowner that gets their tax bill in the mail has to go negotiate with the assessor in order to be able to file a review by us. I mean, if that were the case, you guys could be hearing 140,000 negotiations. I just don't. I've never remembered every year
normally the people that come to us do try to negotiate with the assessor. But I can't imagine that every single one of them that came to us negotiated with the assessor. Have you all ever seen homeowners that didn't negotiate and came straight to us?
They have always filed a review with our office, whether we give them the yes or the no that we accept that we have done something. They can do, after they file a review with us, they can file an appeal with the Board of Review. It has to be done in that order.
Okay, so, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Bender, can I add something?
Wait 1 second.
Hey, 1 second, y'all. So we did get an opinion from our legal counsel. Mary's going to repeat it into the microphone.
So according to Ms. Cuvion, last year this issue came up as well of whether an appeal has to be reviewed by the assessor's office first. She said it is not completely clear in the code if you have to or not. To file it, she says it's unclear. So what she said is the best legal, safest course of action would be to uphold the assessor's recommendation, and then if he can always appeal it to the tax commission or try to get a legal decision explanation from that.
All right, I'm good with that.
Okay, so we have an opinion. That would make Mr. Smith's motion appropriate. So we have a motion and a second by Mr. Smith. Ms. Smith, how do you vote?
Yes.
Ms. Casabon? Yes. Mr. Corbin? Mr. Burke? Mr. Bender? Ms. O'Brien? Yes.
And what did you do? Yes?
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Okay, do we have one more?
No. Oh.
Is that it?
Kyle Boudreau, he withdrew. Okay.
I thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much, sir, as well.
I have something
Something to say.
a personal privilege.
This ain't a personal privilege time.
I just want to say
Go ahead, Ms. Casabon.
I just want to say that I have a new, highly respected view of this assessor's office and people. I had no clue how in-depth y'all have to work to be able to present stuff to us or to the whole parish. And y'all have done an excellent job, and I appreciate y'all.
Thank you.
I'm amazed.
Ms. Casabon, can you end that with a motion to recess?
I make a motion to adjourn.
To recess.
Recess. Oh, that's right. Recess.
The Board of Review.
Second by Mr. Corbin. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We are at recess. Thank you all very much for your hard work.